Hello everybody and welcome to Doctor Who Flux. As I said in my last stream, very good. It'll be interesting to see what our panel actually has to say. So I'm just waiting on a couple of more panelists to come in, because I have sent the links to everybody, but everybody seems to be, I don't know, maybe people are in shock. But yeah, it's, as I said, I think it's the best thing that Chris Chibnall has written so far. So we'll see. Just as I said, I've got some people saying, sending me messages saying it's too little, too late, and stuff like that. Look, I'm not going to disagree with that. It is too late, but still doesn't negate. It doesn't still hide from the fact that it was good, in my opinion. Obviously, there's some panelists that I already know that don't like this episode, so we'll see if the rest of the panel are actually the same. So what we'll do is we'll bring on who we have right now at the moment. I don't know where the other panelists are gone. So hold on, I just want to send I just want to make sure that they're still coming on, actually. Right, so you hear the fireworks in the background. Poor Ted has been up in arms all day. People could probably hear him barking during the stream. Right, let's bring on our guests while we're waiting on the rest of them. I will ask me panel actually not to say anything about the episode yet until we get all the panelists on, and then we'll get going. Remember, there will be spoilers, so for anybody that hasn't seen it, I would suggest you leave now. No, I think he watched the episode. Oh, he's watching the episode now. Okay, right. Okay, fair enough. No, that wasn't the plan at all. I don't know where everybody's got that. Everybody's got confused. I didn't say that. I said I'd think about doing a watch along. I'd see what humor I was in, or whether I could get the sound on the TV to actually work. That's what I said. So no, I was never. This watch along was something that was discussed on the channel by someone on the panel in the chat. I didn't actually say that I was going to do it. I said I'd see what humor I was in. But he's watching the episode now. But where's the Queen? The Queen is normally the first one here, and I don't see her. Still watching. We'll join soon as I feel. What happened, buddy? Okay. Okay. Right. Well then. Oh, what happened there? Oh, I knocked my camera off. Yeah, right. Let's bring on. I thought it was a watch along. I don't know where everybody is getting that. I never said I was doing a watch along. I said I think about doing a watch along, but I was doing a review panel. I don't know where everybody's getting that from. Charlotte's in the middle of watching the episode as well. So we'll just have to wait until they're finished. But we'll bring on who we have on now. And we'll see what these guys have to say. So without further ado, let's bring on our first guest. We've got the one and only Sigma Later joining us on the panel. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
No problem. We got Real Super Doctor.
Hey, no.
Nice to see you. And we've also got Marty joining us.
Good evening.
And then when Lee and Charlotte are finished with the episodes, I honestly don't know where people got this watch along from. I really don't, because what I actually said is that I would think about it, and if I could get the earphones to work as well, I would do it, and I'd see what humor I was in. I never actually said that I was doing a watch along. I decided a few minutes before the episode actually aired, when I figured out that I could actually watch it with the earphones on and keep the telly down so nobody could actually hear, because the telly is way off. Well, you can actually see the telly there. You see the corner of my screen there. You can just see the edge of the TV right there. So I never actually said I was doing a watch along, but I will be. But here's the thing: nobody be coming on the watch alongs with me anyway. Not for this. I'll be doing it on my own because I really enjoyed doing that on my own and actually talking to the chat. So that's how I'm going to do it. And then the review panel is after the watch alongs. That's the way it's going to be done now. So I hope I've set the record straight now and nobody gets confused. That's the way I'm doing it. So yeah, okay. How will we start this? Right, I'll tell you how we'll start this. Let's start with how we'll get everybody's initial thoughts without going into details yet. Right? We'll talk about the good and the bad in a minute, right? But just these are initial thoughts on the episode. Sigma, did you like the episode or did you dislike the episode?
I actually really liked it. I was not expecting to like it. It was actually fun. I had fun for the first time watching a Chibnall era episode.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Well, I already know that our next guest isn't a fan. Real Super Doctor.
Well, Arthur,
I seen your comments in the chat.
I know. It's just like I take Doctor Who very seriously, and I take it to heart. And if something's not right about it, I mean, it's just I completely lose the rag. I thought it was a bit of a mess.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll get into detail in a minute, John. Don't worry, everybody will get their chance to actually tell me how they felt about the episode. But Marky, what did you think of this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was good or bad in your opinion?
It surprised me. It was good. Probably. Yeah, it blew my the bar was set low for me, but yeah, it really did blow my expectations. You know, it really did. What's the word? It really took me by surprise, to tell you the truth.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I have to be honest with you all. I thought I was going to come into this panel and I was going to be the only one that actually thought it was decent. But it's nice to see, and it was refreshing to see in the last stream so many positive comments. And again, in this stream, I could see some positive comments as well. Now, I know Real Super Doctor takes it seriously, so I'm not going to have a go at anybody here that didn't like it. Right? That's their own opinion, and they're entitled to it. But for me, this was probably Chris Chibnall's best ever Doctor Who episode, and I don't say that lightly. You know me, I can't stand the man, I can't stand his era, but this really did surprise me as well. and there was some oh my god moments in it. But we'll get into that a little bit later, and I'll read some of the comments first because I'm trying to delay a bit of time to. I want to get all the panel on together if I can. If not, we'll go around, and hopefully by the time we get to the last person on the panel, then the other two guys will be able to join us. So obviously we got Real Super Doctor in the chat who's on the panel. We got Chris as well. We got Kip Ellis. We got Spec76. Who else have we got? We got Sigma, obviously he's on the panel as well, and Marty. We got Daniel. Daniel is here. Nice to see you, Daniel. Enigmatic Joker is also here. CD is also here. Six Nicks is also here. Raymond Williams is also here. Garbage is here. And that's Woodhouse 122 is here. Michael is here also. Nice to see you. Dave Travels Through Time Channel 2 is here as well. That must be my mobile phone. I'll just move it. No, it's not my mobile phone. It's someone else's. If someone has their mobile phone beside their computer, you could move it out of the way. That'll be absolutely fantastic. We got Unknown 289. Nicholas Horton is here, and thanks for the super chat in the last stream. Really appreciate it. The Third Doctor as well is here. We got Robert Campbell Stonebanks is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Daniel Edwards is here also. Nice to see you. Michael Hugh is here. Welcome, welcome. Hugh. Yeah. The Wolf and the Storm is also here. Nice to see you. Cardwitch is also here as well. Nice to see you. Friday 1974 is here, I should say. Jesus Christ, I'm talking in the past. I think that's everybody. Hold on, we'll just Bad Wolf 66. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I think that's everybody. If anybody new comes in, I will say hello to you. But okay, let's get into this. I suppose we might as well get straight into it. So we'll start with you, Real Super Doctor, because obviously, you know, as you said yourself, you take Doctor Who very seriously. So for you, what was wrong with this episode? Go ahead.
I think that the Chibnall was trying to put all ideas, and he was just trying to put them into a blender, and he was just trying to see all the results he would get with it, and see if he would get a lot of people's interests in it. For me, I didn't think the story did work as a whole, but towards the end, it started to get my interests up, and because it seemed to have got a little bit interesting with these crystalline creatures, and it was like hinting at the Master. It could have been the Master that's back, and it's just. To me, it's like a rip-off of everything that Chibnall has done, and he's just put it together. And I've noticed that the same kind of scenes like in Dinosaurs of a Spaceship, on board the spaceship, and when the Doctor's trying to figure out something, it's like the same thing all over again. Chibnall's not got any original ideas. He's just trying to mash things all together and hope for the best, and it just doesn't seem to be working at all. But I did like the Sontarans, and I thought the Sontarans were good. The bit where the Weeping Angel was good. Jodie's performances were just as over the top. She didn't have a clue. It was like she didn't have a clue what she was saying. She was all over the place as well. Mandip Gill, it was like she had knew what she was doing with all the TARDIS and all that. She knew how to control the TARDIS and all that, and the stuff that she was saying. I thought, my God, it's a bit frustrating, you know, and when you go into an episode like that, and it's the characters not very entertaining whatsoever. And I didn't like that Dogman thing. I thought that the mask was very kind of cheap looking. The special effects at the opening episode, it was very colour separation overlay, green screen background, and it looked very cheap in that, and the characters had no merit whatsoever. But the interesting thing was Dan coming into this. I thought Dan was good. I thought that if Chibnall could write consistently, with a character, he could actually pull something really good off with that. And I thought Dan had had a wee bit of kind of a chance with that. And I did like Claire and the Weeping Angel and that, and the he was trying to Chibnall was trying to do a bit of Stephen Moffat and a bit of RTD, and but it was just kind of towards the end when the reflux was happening. I thought that was pretty good, and I thought the dream sequences were pretty good, and I thought that that I honestly saw, and this may be controversial, but I honestly saw that some hope in Jodie. I thought, my God, if everything was all right, if she had the perfect TARDIS interior and the perfect sets and all that, and the perfect the writing and all that, and if she had a better direction, she would have been good. And it always is with the Chibnall episodes. You kind of see these glimmers of kind of hope, and it was like I could see a glimmer of hope. But the next episode should be more interesting than this episode.
Okay. Well, we got Queen Charlotte joined, so I'll just bring her in, and we're going around the panel, but I'll just bring her in anyway because she's here. Hello, Queenie. Nice to have you.
Hello. Sorry, I had to watch it after it broadcast, so that's why I'm here now.
It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. There was a bit of a mix-up and a misunderstanding. Anyway, people thought I was actually, bringing everybody on for a watch-along, but that wasn't the case. I said I'd consider doing a watch-along, but wires got crossed somewhere along the line. But you're here now. So we've heard from Real Super Doctor. What we will do is, though, he has kind of brushed on things that he did like about it. What we'll do is we'll come back to him and he can tell us what he did like. I'm just going to go around the panel very briefly. So we'll go with Sigma Left. You actually did enjoy this episode. It surprised you. Could you tell everybody what about this episode surprised you, and what were your favourite parts?
Well, I think it helped that I went in with very low expectations based on the last two seasons, but I can appreciate the fact that this episode was just pure setup. So I wasn't expecting a great deal of development from any of the characters being introduced. This was all set up for the overarching story of the Flux or whatever.
Yeah.
Special effects. I don't quite agree with Super Doctor on this one. I think the special effects were actually the most impressive we've seen so far in the Chibnall era. The show's always looked pretty good under Chibnall, but I loved how the Flux looked. I loved the destruction of the planets and everything we saw. All top-notch stuff. My favourite moments would have to be with the Weeping Angel and Claire. Very reminiscent of Blink.
Yeah.
And very reminiscent of how frightening the Weeping Angels used to be before they were overused. But yeah, that was story-wise. Oh god. I also say I quite enjoyed the some of the moments between Yaz and the Doctor in the TARDIS before it all kicked off, when she had that helmet on her head and was checking out the TARDIS to see what the malfunctions were. There was a nice bit of growth there, I think, but again, Yaz and Jodie, Jodie and Yasmin, their acting's still not great. I don't enjoy watching them entirely, but there is improvement. There's like Super Doctor said, there's little glimmers there of potential.
Yeah. I would agree personally that I do think that they're still the weakest link in this series. I'm not going to shy away from that. I still think Jodie is way over her head. I still really think there's no point of Mandeep Gill's character, Yasmin, especially in this. There's no look. You could have took her out of this episode and it wouldn't have changed the outcome. Yeah, well, everybody knows how I feel about the episode. I thought it's the best thing that he's written so far. So that's where I stand on it. But I'd have to agree with you. I thought the special effects were actually very good. Dan is great, I have to say. Is Noel in the bathroom? No, I'm here. I'm not in the bathroom. Oh, because I knocked my camera off. No, here I am. Look, I'm just sitting here. Sometimes I just knock the camera off because I'm drinking and I smoke as well, so I don't want people seeing me smoke. That's all. But let's move on. Right? So we got that's all the good points of Sigma. As I said, there were bad elements to this that we will get into, but so far so good. I have to say, panel so far is 50-50 so far. Let's hear what Marty has to say. Marty, how did you feel about this episode? And obviously tell us what parts of the story you liked, and we'll get into the negative stuff because there was negative stuff. Don't get me wrong. We'll get into that when we get everybody's positive take. So, what did you think?
Well, wow, that took me by surprise. It was, as I say, the visual effects, especially that last scene where, that last scene where the TARDIS materializes in space and they open the doors and look out.
Yeah, that was a lovely shot.
That was just, oh my God, that was brilliant. John Bishop is just, he blew my expectations out of water.
He's going to be brilliant in this. I'm sorry for cutting across you, but John Bishop was a highlight in this story. And in fairness to Chibnall, I'll give it to him. He didn't write him like he's wrote other male characters. There was actually a good side to John Bishop. You know, you had the part where he was in the museum, but he doesn't really work there, but he was showing people around and giving them a bit of history. And he worked in a soup kitchen as well, not a soup kitchen, one of those food bank. So there was a little bit, we always complain that he writes these male characters and there's always something wrong. But this time I have to actually say he's written a male character that you can actually get behind. But go ahead, Marty, anyway. Sorry for cutting across. I just want to make that point.
You're all right. But no, I think the episode was a wee bit slow to get started, but I can forgive Chibnall. He's setting up everything.
Yeah.
He was setting up everything. That scene with the Weeping Angel and Claire was just it just reminded me of Moffat. It just reminded me straight away of Moffat.
Yeah.
And all these characters that have appeared, they're obviously going to turn up again. I love the whole idea of Claire meeting the Doctor and Yaz and them not knowing who she was yet. I like that. Also, it was the story. I mean, like, even at the end of it, it was like you were sort of, you were just sort of thinking, what the hell is going to happen here? At the end of it, there's a few theories that I have. I don't know whether to get into them now or leave them to later.
No, leave it till we get everybody on, because we're waiting on Lee, and then we'll get deeper into. I just want to get a brief word off everybody. Go ahead.
But yeah, definitely a very good episode, in my opinion. The Carvanista thing, I just thought the Liverpool accent on it was just a wee bit, I don't know, I don't think that worked at all.
Not with the Liverpool accent, but everybody calling it a cheap version of what you call them out of Star Wars. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Come on. It was good. I thought the banter between the dog and John Bishop's character was bleeding hilarious. So I was laughing, actually. There was a few scenes between those two that were funny.
I thought of you. The first thing, I'm not going to go into it because I'll leave it for later.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought of you the second that the stuff started dripping out of the TARDIS. I was like, TARDIS is dying. I was like, it's happened. We talked about this about a year ago. We talked about it this time last year.
I know, I lied apparently, but it looks like it's happening. It looks
Yeah.
like it's happening. The TARDIS was acting very strange as well, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. But
Yeah.
there's lots of stuff going on in this episode. I will agree with people. But some people say it was a mess. I disagree, but go ahead, Marty.
It was just the I will forgive any writer for setting up stuff that's going to come back and pay off later. So yes, while it might have been slow to get started, once those characters were introduced, I thought it was well paced. I thought it was well put together. Just some of the shots were just very good. Like, you know, like even I know you're a Man United fan, but even that shot of the TARDIS lab outside Anfield, I just thought that was brilliant.
It was a lovely shot. And I have to admit it, being a Manchester United fan, it did kind of make me sick a little bit because I hate Liverpool. But that shot where the TARDIS lands in the middle of the road and Anfield is right behind it, and you can see it. This is Anfield. I thought that was a beautiful shot. I agree. There was some beautiful shots, lovely scenes, and lovely shots in this. I have to say,
it was just it was brilliant. Like, it was probably some of the best visuals that like the show has seen.
Yeah, I'd agree.
To tell you the truth. But I'll let you go on here because my phone's ringing. I just have a phone call to take. But
no problem. I'll see what Charlotte now. So Charlotte, we're just gonna kind of do the positive first, but I will ask you the same question I've asked the rest of the panel. Did you like this episode, or did you dislike this episode? But if you did like it, could you tell us what you did like about it? We'll go into what you disliked about it. There was a scene in it that I will bring up with the double bed. We'll get to that in a minute. But what did you think of the story? What did you think of the episode?
Yeah, we're going to have a fight because there was good bits in this. I'm not going to be like completely down on it, but I just think there was way too many characters. I just think I understand this is the setup, but he had too many characters. It was just like as soon as you were getting used to one storyline, you got chucked to another storyline. But like I said, I'll get more into that later. I will agree. Dan was the one that I cared about most for most of this episode. Like when it was his scenes, I was a lot more engaged. I think John's got a very good sort of natural charm about him. You like him, and they are setting him up to be a very sort of decent guy, which is nice to see because we haven't had that for God knows how many years. You sort of. And I think what I liked about it, he was relatable. That's what I think it was with Dan. He was written incredibly relatable, and you can sort of attach yourself to that. And Bishop did have some really nice one-liners with the alien. Like, I think from John's side, when he was doing the whole first seeing the Carvanista, it was funny. But I'll get on to later why there's a bit what I didn't like about that.
Okay.
So I'll agree. Some of the shots were really nice. I do agree. Like with the flux and the scat, when they were looking out, it did make me think of Russell because he would do some lovely shots of them looking out the TARDIS in his era. So it gave me sort of vibes of that. At least there's a threat. At least we know from the get-go the Doctor's going to actually have to do something. Yeah. She can't just sort of do her usual flapping arms and sort of doing nothing. She's now actually going to have to sort this flux out. So that's good. At least we have something that is going to be in it. And even though I do think he was a little bit mustache twirling, the crystal guy, like I can't remember his name, but he seems to have a bit of history with the Doctor. So I'm hoping that actually turns out. So that was good. But I'll get when we get later on. I do think personally, I understand this is a setup, but I do think he could have not had it so jumpy. I think that's what put me off it. It felt like it was jumping a lot this episode from scene to scene.
Would it be fair to say that you would have probably preferred that this episode was a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Kind of introduce, when he did introduce these characters, maybe if they were spread out because it was a longer time on it,
Yeah, give this like 60 minutes. I think that would have helped actually. Give the first one 60 minutes and have your other one shorter maybe. Because it just felt, like I said, it just felt like ding, 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 ding. And I was just, and there was even bits where I was sort of half not paying attention, and that was to do with Jodie and Yaz. I agree with what you said. They were easily the weakest part of this, hands down.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say there is one particular scene that kind of didn't make any sense to me, and that was the double bed, right? So obviously you've all seen the trailer where Jodie was hanging upside down with Yaz. Well, they managed to get out of that situation, and the TARDIS happens to be lying flat on something. I don't know what it is, big rock or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
it's a rock, I think.
And they like River Song did, opened the TARDIS door and she fell right through into the swimming pool. But instead, these two landed on a double bed. It just, what was a double bed just doing there?
Yeah, but the problem is how they were written in the episode, if they're going to go that way. Because I don't know what you guys felt. I think Jodie's attitude to Yaz was not explained and it didn't feel right. Like last series, it made sense with the timeless child, with the mask. So last series, it made sense because she didn't want to talk about the master to them. And it sort of made sense to keep secrets. But I don't understand why she didn't tell Yaz about the crystal dude in her head. That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd agree
and
with
it
that,
felt
actually.
a bit like a repeat. Literally, that scene when they're in the TARDIS, it felt like the exact, almost a repeat of, in Fugitive last series when she sat down and they're all stood and saying, "Why don't you talk to us?"
Yeah.
It was literally the same thing. And I was just like, this makes no sense. You've been traveling, if anything, you two should be closer, even if just as friends. Because you even have a line saying you've done loads of adventures since we last saw you two. So why on earth is Jodie's doctor being cagey with her? It made no sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think my big issue with that double bed thing is that it was pure bait for a certain part of the fandom.
Yeah.
Because as
I'd agree with that.
As Charlotte just pointed out, the interactions between the Doctor and Yaz in no way reflect that kind of relationship.
No, it doesn't.
Right,
so this is my problem. I think this episode, and I understand if people like it because it wasn't all bad. I think it's a lot of flash, and I had a sinking feeling he was going to do this. He was going to put a lot of things we recognised, a lot of flashy lights, a lot of big CGI, and if you actually look at the story, take all that stuff away, I don't think this is a good story.
Yeah.
I think it's good at tricking you almost because of all the, and I think that's also why he had so many scenes flipping, because you don't have enough time to think.
Yeah.
So you sort of almost get tricked. Maybe I'm wrong here, but that's what I feel like this episode was doing a bit. It didn't give you enough time to think about what was happening to actually digest it.
Yeah. I think that's my main problem with it.
I think with
I
me,
don't know. I obviously my take is slightly different, as you know. This he's obviously setting up something, so I can understand why it kind of flipped and flopped from each scene the way it did. I will agree to a certain extent. Maybe this episode should have been a little bit longer, maybe to give more breathing room for those scenes. But I think I thought it was pretty okay. I mean, look, I'll watch it again, but I was impressed. I have to be honest. I think
it wasn't as, we've had a lot worse.
Yeah.
I'll admit that we've had a lot worse from him, so it wasn't absolutely dire. But like I said, I just think it's going to be one of those that if you do watch it again, because you've seen the spectacle the first time, it won't be as good the second time.
I think for me, I'm sort of being more forgiving on it because I'm waiting to see what the payoff is at the end before I retroactively look back at this setup. So I'm just sort of taking it for what it is for now. But I do agree, having so many key new characters introduced at different points in time and having just like, here's this person, here's this person, here's this person, oh, and here's Dan. And then focus so much on Dan. It's like, okay, but who are these guys? And I think another thing that bugged me was something that's been bugging me for Chibnall's writing for a while is that all the character development has happened off screen again. And in that opening moment with Yaz and the Doctor hanging upside down, we get an exposition dump of what they've been doing.
Yeah.
It's like,
that was a bit of,
I would have preferred to have seen that happen rather than just being told it's happened. And you could have cut that scene out entirely and dedicated more screen time to all the other characters to flesh them out a bit.
And it's like Yaz knows all how to work the TARDIS now, and she knows everything, and she's acting that smart and that clever. I think that's Chibnall trying to act smart and clever with the characters, but it just doesn't work.
No.
Well, like I said, it felt like to me that almost the Doctor wasn't needed in this episode again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't really do anything. She just sort of got told, oh, the Flux is coming. We fought in battles before when the crystal dude was talking to her. And like I said, maybe this is just my pet peeve. I know I think maybe this is why I'm a bit more down on it. It's my pet peeve when it's called Doctor Who. The Doctor needs to actually feel like they're doing something in a story. And Jodie's Doctor just felt once again pushed to the side here.
Right, just hang on there because we have Lee. He's been waiting to come on, so let's bring him on. Hey, Lee.
Hello, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Before we start getting into the negatives, right? What I want you to do is like I've asked everybody on the panel so far, obviously, tell me what you liked about this episode, if there was anything you liked. Was there anything you liked?
I have to say, I'll be honest. I actually enjoyed this.
Wow. So, wow. Do you know what? Look. I know people are on the panel going to have different opinions on this, but for me, this is the best thing he's written. Would you agree with that, Lee?
I'll say it is a confused mess. And also, what kind of made it really difficult for me was the sound recording was drowned out by the background music. I think they need to work on the audio production because a lot of what's being said is lost. And I've got a very good speaker set up, and I've never had any problems trying to understand what people are saying, unless, of course, it's in the production. I've got a 5.1 stereo sound system, and it's top range Panasonic, of course. And
Sony's the best.
No. So I've got an ear for that, and I was sitting there going, I can't quite hear what's been said. Usually with Jodie Whittaker's lines, funnily enough, mostly. I don't know why every alien now is from Yorkshire, but there we go. That's another thing.
I will agree there. A lot of people have mentioned that on the panel. I will say them having those accents kind of does put you off a little bit, but the characters are written, they're decently written actually this time, that you kind of, even though that is problematic with their voices, I think I can put that to one side and just see what they're going to do. This episode is really a setup anyway for what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Chibnall can come up with something like this, why hasn't he done this for the last 2 seasons? If it just started off with something as strong as an opener as this one was, there wouldn't have been so many of these problems. I do still think, as someone rightly said in here, I think it was Marty or Sigma, I can't remember, said about the character relations developing off screen. That was very, very, very evident here. And I, you know, we don't know how long that Yaz has been traveling with the Doctor since we last saw them, which I didn't last see them for a longer time than most. And now all of a sudden she's an expert in everything. You know, she can work the TARDIS console. She can, you know, release several traps from a trap prison thing, cage. And that's not explained. It's just now she can do it. She's the bestest ever again. And that annoyed me. Yeah. Although I have to say that Yaz's character was actually more animated than usual. I think given the fact that she's been given space to actually do something was refreshing, to say the least. Jodie Whittaker wasn't annoying for the first time ever for me. She was actually bearable. She still hasn't had that sort of Doctor moment. No. She's still. I think the end bit with the Flux thing coming, that was quite epic. I thought there was her response to that was actually very good. I like the Swarm character, and I was quite impressed with that more than I was from the initial photographs. He's actually very sinister. I really like that. Yeah, I think that was very good acting from that. The dog character, what's his name? I like that. I like Dan. I thought he was an engaging character. There were a couple of lines that landed from the sort of comic element, which surprised me. One of them was the forebears. You don't look like forebears. Well, that was quite good. Yeah, so I will say, you know, Chibnall, well done. You know, you've actually managed to write something that was at least exciting to a point that it had a sense of something happening. You know, there was some drama there. But I will say again, it was a confused mess. You've got too many things going on. You've got too many characters being introduced at once again. And it was very fastly edited. It was very fast moving. So it's very I'm trying to keep up and not be too confused by everything that's going on at once. But yeah, I mean, I am interested to know more about these characters. There was the woman who was sent back by the Weeping Angel. I'd like to know more about her, where she fits in. You got Dan's girlfriend. What's going to happen to her? So I mean, there's a few elements in there, and why this woman was in the Arctic, Antarctic, whatever, and then obviously the boyfriend gets annihilated, as usual, and why she was hiding as this crystalline monster thing. So that seems to scream chameleon arch, whatever you want to call it, to me. So are they connected with the Time Lords in any way? Yeah, I thought the effects of the Flux coming in and threatening everything was quite spectacular. The dog ships surrounding the Earth interlocking was a bit naff.
Yeah,
I thought that was a bit naff. I mean, they'd have to use like billions of these things, and I just don't see it. I mean, if they'd had a few and then they formed some kind of field around it, that would have made more sense. And
well, she did explain that though. She said there was a field, a temporal shield.
Yeah, but I mean, like they all interlocked, like with each other, like to form a plating around the planet. I mean, that would be billions and billions and billions and billions of shit. Fair enough. I suppose you get away with it. I will say, I mean, I still dread where it's going. but I have to be honest. I think for my I think I had the right attitude coming in. Like, impress me, right? I think going in with an open mind doesn't necessarily work. I think you have to be like, especially after the shit we've been given for the last few years, going in the way I did with right. I will be open minded to a point, but I'm not going to be made a fool of again. But I will say, it did win me over somewhat. I am going to have to think about it some more, obviously, because this is watching it once and reacting to what I've just seen. So it's very hard to have a very sort of critical mind to it. I mean, there are definitely lots of problems with it. I think a lot of it is relying on the fast editing and the fast pace to kind of bamboozle you and sort of force this onto you, this intensity onto you, to stop you critically thinking about it too heavily. But there are some moments in there and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And it's all happening very fast. So I mean, I'm just worried now that they've set that pace very quickly up, that they can follow that through. If they can follow that through and keep that going, but I just worry that they're going to push all these things through too quickly, and that you're going to miss a lot of things as well, because that is another problem. So you're going to have a drop in pace somewhere. Will that affect it too much? That's another thing to think about. Well, we'll see. The Sontarans just look great. I'd like to see what happens with that next week, and how that ties in. I'm very interested with the Swarm characters and what they're about. The Vinder plotline, I don't know,
was nothing.
Seems rather arbitrary to me. Yeah, it's yeah. We'll see what he brings.
Obviously get to know a little bit more about Vinder.
Yeah, it's early. Yeah, it's just yeah. But I mean, I'm more interested to see what happens, how Dan's girlfriend thing fits into this. What's going to happen to her? That was unexpected, and who this mystery woman is, that's something else to it's all these different threads, and how it's all going to tie together is interesting. I'll give him that. Can he pull it off? We'll have to wait and see. But I am obviously worried with how this fits in with all the the missing whatever incarnations of the Doctor and all this timeless child nonsense. So I'm just hoping that they're not just trying to wow us into submission and then sort of serve the shit sandwich, basically. That's
I have a theory. I don't think Vinder's going to meet the Doctor. I think that scene where the Swarm guy, or that the crystalline guy in the face, whatever the hell you call him, where he meets Jodie and he's like, "We've battled many centuries before, and I know you don't know me." I have this theory in the back of my head now that Vinder, you're probably not going to want to hear this, but I think Vinder could be another one of those incarnations, and he could be the one that battles. We could be looking at what happened before with how this character knows the Doctor, and this Vinder guy could be another version of the Doctor that actually battles. That
kind of does make sense, because the Doctor, Jodie's Doctor, doesn't know who this person is. You could tell by her reaction that she hasn't got a clue what's going on. That's the thing about it. It's like, and I will say in this particular episode, there's definitely a danger, and her Doctor cannot, kind of bluff our way through this now. There is a serious threat. We've seen.
She can't bluff it at all.
It's been missing from a Chibnall era. This is what's been missing from Chibnall's era. So on that point of view, I think he started off very well. Someone says it could be the Valiard.
I think
we don't know. There's so many theories. Someone said Rassilon. Someone has said Omega. We don't know. This is look. As I said, this episode's just setting up stuff. And I do agree to a certain extent. There is a lot thrown in a 55-minute episode. Maybe if it was a little bit longer, I mean, you could have probably got away with an hour and a half episode, but I don't think they'd ever do that.
I mean, I hope that this is I hope that this. I'm probably wrong, but
Go on.
I'm hoping that this is the last episode here now that we see this sort of goofy style Doctor. I hope
Oh, she
from now
was
on
going
in,
to be in
Yeah.
there.
I hope that from now on in, if you want to give her character development, that she starts getting angrier and angrier and more
I think
pissed.
she will. I
Yeah.
think
And I
they've
think
been
we
taken
see
already.
that scene.
Yeah, the opening of this episode did not give me any hope whatsoever. I mean, there were some moments where it nearly pulled it off, but at times I was just stop with the cringe already. You know.
Yeah.
No, you could see that she was that Jodie's doctor was getting irritated. You could see that she is angry. She's confused. You know, she even had a go at Yaz. You know, you could see that whatever.
Yeah, but that just felt a bit contrived to me. It's like,
Yeah,
we've
but I
seen
was
this
saying, Lee,
before.
I was saying this before. It doesn't make sense the way she was acting around Yaz. It really doesn't. And maybe I'm harping on too much about this, but it really felt forced. It didn't make sense. Why
It just seemed like an insert into that to show,
remember,
oh
Claire
look,
said
character
that she
development.
that she didn't realize that she was going to meet her tonight, that she was going to see her in the past. Maybe that will be explained why Yaz and the doctor kind of had their little bit of a.
Well, the assumption at the minute is that this Claire character is going to turn up in episode 4. Now, episode 4 is co-written with Chibnall by Maxine Alderton, and they reckon that's the Weeping Angel story.
Yeah, she probably will pop up in the Weeping Angels like solo when they're not sharing screen time. It would make sense.
But as I was saying earlier, well, I'll say you're the person that broadcast it, though, but you're right again. TARDIS is dying, and if the first part of that rumor plays out, we're heading for Ancient Gallifrey. That was the second part.
Yeah.
So, you can clearly see that the internal dimensions of the TARDIS are breaking down. And I hope that progresses more and more over the episode, because
So look at the scene where she was analysing the black stuff in the TARDIS, and look at Jodie's doctor's face when she actually looks at the screwdriver and she realizes she knows what that is.
Yeah, she knows more than she's letting on.
Because she's definitely not telling Yaz everything. There's something. Every time you think she was going to tell her what was going on, something else would happen and distract her away from telling Yaz. But she definitely knows something, and she's not saying that to Yaz. And I think they're probably going to have their relationship, Jordan. This is going to be very strange. I think, whatever is going on, maybe the doctor is trying to protect her. But, she does make a good point, Yaz, when she turned around and says, well, look, I've travelled with you for this long. And then the doctor starts saying, well, I have kept you safe, haven't I? I brought you to all these wonderful places and stuff like that. So she's deliberately avoiding telling Yaz what's going on. But what I like about it is there is a threat this time, and she's not going to be able, as the doctor, the way it's been done the last 2 seasons, to bluff her way through this. She actually has to get her hands dirty now and actually do it. And I do like the direction they're going. I like the kind of catty version that they're doing. If she can keep that up and leave the goofiness out, as everybody said, I'm not gonna sit here and say she's gonna convince me that she's the doctor, but I think they should go down this path with her, because I think it suits our doctor better. That's the way I'd put it. It suits our doctor.
Yeah, because the problem is when Jodie tries to do goofy, she can't do it well. We've all said this. Like, Tennant could do goofy when it suited him. Matt was the king of goof.
Yeah.
Like Capaldi, not so much, but he sort of, by the end, he got a good measurement of it. But it's always felt false with her doctor. So I do agree with you there. If they are going more catty, if they are going her sort of being almost villainous, maybe near the end, then yeah, that would work.
Balstrick, you're going to be surprised, actually, I think. It was better than we all thought. Maybe you won't, but we'll see. But yeah, it was actually surprising. We'll see. As I said, there is a lot to unravel. But look, this is a setup. This is a setup episode. I do agree with Lee now. Can they keep this pace up? That's the thing. Can they? Oh, Lee actually thought it was okay, Ballstreck. There you go. I'm actually surprised as well. I'm actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just reiterate. I thought it was a confused mess, and I think there was a lot of flashbang wallop to kind of bamboozle people into submission. Look at this over here. Look at this shiny thing over here. Look at visually, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to look at. Yaz wasn't as a planker would as usual. Jodie Whittaker wasn't as irritating as usual. Dan's character was actually fairly amusing. Bit of a mamsel in distress, but that's what we expected. The Flux looks spectacular. The world-eating Flux, it does look great. Centaurs look great. Sort of just inserted to obviously set up for tomorrow, next week's episode. And the Swarm character is actually very menacing. Considering from the pictures, just looked like a gay Skeletor. He was actually very, very intimidating.
Crystal Heads. That's my nickname for them now. Crystal Head.
I tell you what, can somebody look up the actor, because he was good. I think a lot of that was the actor they picked.
Yeah, he was.
It was his voice.
I agree. I think that character
is really good voice. So I think if somebody can look at the actor, because he did a really good job.
I honestly have to say, I think that character is sinister. He had no problem of wiping people out. You could see that. It's like there was no messing around with him. It was like you're gone and that's it. Like gone.
He played it with such delightful glee as well. It's like I can fear this character. He's going to kill me as much as he says hello. Which way is he going to go?
The Doctor goes up against this character, because this character is maybe this character is the character responsible for killing off the Doctor.
Yeah,
maybe.
Didn't Rassilon use it was like a kind of fist glove to wipe out people like that?
Yeah, he did. Just
what was it called? It had a name, didn't it?
The hand of Rassilon or something like that. I don't know.
The glove of Rassilon or something like that, wasn't it? Or something like that.
No, it's the gauntlet, isn't it?
Gauntlet. Yeah. I just think of Thanos when I hear gauntlet.
Well, the effect was a bit Thanos-like, wasn't it? Like the sort of going to sand. It was a bit Thanos-like.
Yeah.
But it is like, I just hope that it just the momentum is up. It did, like, at the last 10 minutes of it did feel very high pace, and I just hope that when the second episode starts next week, that can keep going, because if it just slaps, bang, dead, if Chibnall could keep this pace right the way through the series and go off on some big massive cliffhanger at the last episode, then I'll stand up and say, fair enough, well done, but why the hell did you not do this 3 years ago?
Exactly.
And that is the point that Lee brought up, and we have to. It's a valid point. I mean, why has it taken him this long to produce something decent? I mean, it baffles me. Maybe it is the fact that it is serialized and he's in his element. But this for me, I'm not messing, right? Now, I know people will have different opinions, but for me, if you're asking me to rate this compared to everything that he's given us so far, this is the best episode that he has produced for Doctor Who ever, period, in my opinion. I think it's better than Spyfall Part 1. I think it's even better than The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I was really, listen, I'm just like the rest of you. I'm kind of shocked that he was able to give us something that I was genuinely interested watching. There's not one part where I phased out. I kept wanting more. And we don't get that with Chibnall. We never got that with Chibnall, actually. But he has to, I do agree. And I think he will, because we saw the trailer right at the end of Santara. I think he is going to keep this pace up, to be quite honest with you.
Sam Spruill was Swarm.
Well, he's very good.
Yeah, see, at the end of it, it was sort of like, as I say, like, growing up with the RTD era, as you say, no, it always at the end of it, you're always like, for me, it was always like, right, can't wait, let's see this. And I felt that for the first time in a long time at the end of this episode, as the credits were rolled, I was like, right, give me the next time trailer. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Here. And I commended, and like as I was saying to you about potentially her doing away with this whole goofiness style and her going a lot more serious now. Like that scene where she was like walking around, like saying, so I don't know what the line was, but it was like very serious. So I just hope that they push her character to the point where by episode 6, she's not afraid to flip and just go full on anger mode if you piss her off in the slightest way.
Yeah, I want her doctor now to be taken off the leash that she's been on and go all out now. And I really hope. Look, I even said it. I said, can Chris Chibnall? I did the poll and all, and everybody voted no, which was fair enough because everybody is looking at the past and that as well. But if I was to do that poll again, I reckon it'd be a different result after tonight's episode. For once, he gave us something where everybody said, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next week now. I really can't, actually.
Yeah, see, I'm not quite there yet, but it was...
No, that's fair enough. Look, we're all going to have different stages of where we are, right? Right now, I have to say, he surprised me.
Yeah.
He surprised me. I thought, look, I will agree with everybody. I thought the start of it was a little bit, and I thought, here we go. Especially with the double. I thought, Jesus Christ, right? But then when we start getting the dance stuff and then the other stuff, I was like, yeah, I can get on board with this. And then the two old lads back in the 1800s having that interesting conversation. Now, I know we didn't get details, but they were doing tunnels and all of this. See, I reckon, right, I'll predict it now, right, the Arctic Circle, I bet you there's tunnels there, tunnels in Liverpool. It's going to be tunnels worldwide. Whatever's happening, they're already on Earth. Whatever this is going to happen, they're already on Earth. Something's going to happen. She's going to go back. But there's, I was actually, I'm actually surprised. I'm stuck for words because I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting that, and even though I did say I'll go in with an open mind and I'll forget about it, but I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting him to produce this level because his level has been so low. But he did. He upped it. He really did. It was better than the festive special, and I thought that was decent. It was better than that. I can't wait to see Sontarans next week. Now we got a little teaser of what they're like. They're in the next episode now, and they're probably going to be in a lot of it. And I love the Sontarans. I have to say,
he has toned down that, like you notice with RTD, and even Moffat, is that they were sort of like the pastèque Sontarans. They were sort of like Whereas now, that funniness is dialed way down. He sort of like you could see Dan Starkey there, and that sort of line about the way he looks. It was sort of like a funny throwaway line. Was one of them that said, but very much a serious conversation. And their voices sound like the 70s, the Time Warrior. They sound classic, and they look perfect, and they sound perfect. And fair dues to Chibnall for that. And if that's the way they're going to be in the next episode, then
in comparison, you can buy these are a warmongering race. Like you got that just from that scene. But like I just think he could have just maybe had like them and just chopped some of the other stuff out of this, as like they could have been the extra bit of here's what you got next week.
Yeah, maybe you could.
The angel scene was good, but I'm like I said, I hate. For me, it felt a little bit too like a Moffat scene. Like he wasn't doing anything new with the angel. He was just copying what Moffat did with them.
Yeah, I think it was just because obviously the new visual style of it, and that was the first time we've seen the angels since the whole new camera angles and camera lenses and stuff like that. I think that's just what it made it stand out for me. But it was like I didn't feel you didn't get that you know, my niece was sitting beside me, and that was the first time she had seen the Angels. So, like,
Yeah,
it
for
really got to her.
For first time, that would have been amazing. And I don't want to take that away from younger, obviously, viewers. We've seen it, they haven't, so I can understand watching that. That would have spooked. That would have got the chills going at the back, and that's what the show's meant to do. So,
like, I actually thought that scene with Claire and the Weeping Angel was actually very good. I was on the edge of my seat because obviously people were watching me. I was on the edge of the seat, but like they all do the same bleeding thing, don't they? And like, because people were complaining, well, why didn't she just run away? Well, if you're gonna say that, then you might as well say the same thing about Blink and all the other Weeping Angel stories. This is a trope; they never run away. It's like the horror movies. Where
she knew obviously what she,
you know, like
she obviously knows what it is. So whoever she is, she's come across these things before, the Weeping Angels before. So clearly she knew if she was going to try and run away, she'd have to turn her back on the thing, and it will catch up with her because it moves so fast. So you can't really run away.
It was also that line that she said when she met the Doctor and Yaz, that she's going back home the long way around.
Yeah, that's a blatant copy. That's a blatant copy from
of course.
Matt Smith's Doctor. Blatant.
The you know, when she could zap back in time, another prediction for you, I think she could zap back to Liverpool in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I think that's where she is. Because we know in one of the episodes that they do go there. They do go to the 1800s because of the filming pictures. So they like
we know because of the blokes. It will be the episode with those two blokes in.
Yeah. I think that's where she ends up. It's sort of funny. Like Chibnall's, it seems like in some sort of last ditch attempt that Chibnall's now bringing in the serialization thing that worked so well in Broadchurch. Yeah. And if this is what the first episode is, coming into 6, you know, so far it's working. It's working at the minute.
See, I think
it felt like Doctor Who. It actually felt like Doctor Who.
To his strengths, though. This is what's baffled me. He's also playing to his strengths this time. Because we all know that he's good at the serialization. I don't know why he didn't do that from the beginning when he came on board anyway. Right?
No,
but
I don't.
This does work. It does work. Now, look, at next week could be a different story, and we all could be sitting here all depressed because, as I've said, right, he always starts off strong, right?
Yeah.
So he started off strong this week. It's always the second and third episode. So, you know, next week we could be sitting here and saying, oh, for God's sake, Chibnall. You know, we don't know. But if he can keep this pace up, if he can keep it as interesting as he did, and obviously, you know, kind of, you know, now that he's introduced all the characters now, you know, now let's move on from that now.
Yeah, but it's really where it goes with the timeless child thing. That's the thing that's overshadowing the entire thing. And however good the episodes may be, until we get to the crunch, right? The elephant in the room.
I know.
Until we know what's happening with that, it's a very tense moment, you know.
Listen,
really.
I agree. I do agree that is holding a lot of people back, and I have to say it is in the back of my head. I want to know how this is going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Well, that Flux, when those planets were being, I was blown away.
That was great. I can do that on Blender.
I think the CGI was an improvement on last year and even on Series 11. The Flux it did look spectacular. Jodie's face when she's looking at her coming towards the tower, and I did love the part where she actually she banged the console, the tower, and the energy, the vortex energy came out of the TARDIS. The Flux. I thought that was amazing as well. But that scene with the three of them standing at the door with the two TARDIS doors open and they're just in space, that was just a beautiful shot. Even the Weeping Angel shot in the street, right, just on the phone in the dark there. That was visually, this is probably the best that we've seen from this era. I don't think anybody would disagree with me on that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I would even say it's probably the best ever. I would say that. Like, I know that opening shot with them upside down wasn't.
Yeah, that was awful.
Done. That was terrible.
That scene was awful. Even I was like, I was looking at this and I was like, oh no, she's gonna be annoying.
See,
But
that was the worst impression I was getting from it.
But then she toned it down though. But that was the thing. Then she started getting serious. And then when I seen her face when she was analysing the black stuff on the TARDIS floor. Now the one thing I didn't like actually, where did all that TARDIS door fucking appear from?
I know that's interesting as well.
Well, that's because the TARDIS is. My impression is that the TARDIS is almost distinct.
It's an entropy. Yeah, if you think back to Logopolis, it's the same sort of situation.
Well, like if rumors play out as they are, the only way this TARDIS is getting fixed is if she goes back to ancient Gallifrey. Because you remember that rumor this time last year that said the TARDIS was going to be dying, and she had to go back to ancient Gallifrey.
Yeah, she's gonna have to have the time. Yeah, and we were told also that the Time Lords were going to actually help her out, and then she owed the Time Lords. So there's something. Yeah, there's definitely something going on there. Look, all I'll say is, personally speaking, I'm intrigued. I can't wait for next week's episode. Someone has YouTube on at the same time because I can hear myself repeating there.
All I'll say is that I was dreading this, like actually physically, like feeling, anxious. And I mean, I wasn't out of my seat or whooping or anything, but towards the end, I was actually getting chills because I thought that actual drama of this thing approaching the TARDIS and releasing the vortex energy at the Flux thing was actually really intense. It was quite. It was quite a thrilling thing, and I thought, wow, that was the first time with this entire era I actually felt something, and I feel relieved, really, more than a lot of people will think, they just want to hate watch, and they just want we want good Doctor Who, we want that, all right, and it's a relief to me, and it's like I will always be honest with my opinion on this. And I think, a lot of people might be surprised at that. A lot of people might be elated or happy or suspicious or angry that, I'm not absolutely hating on it. But, credit where credit's due. I mean, I still think there's a lot of problems with it. As I said, it was very fast paced, and I think that it can be very misleading to the audience because it's trying to bamboozle you with so much stuff going on that you can't really sit there and nitpick at the detail. And as I said, a lot of the dialogue for me was lost. That nuance was lost because you couldn't hear what was being said, which is kind of annoying. So you kind of almost really have to rewatch it in order to kind of get everything that's going on.
Yeah, but I think the dialogue, there was some good bits of dialogue, like the scene with Dan when he first meets the Carbonista. That is some good dialogue between them, like the back and forward. That is good. When Dan was doing his scenes with Claire, like that was some nice natural. I think that's what came across to me actually. We actually had some natural sounding dialogue in this episode. It didn't sound as stilted.
And then Jodie Whittaker actually managed to almost make me smile with the release, trying to get the handcuffs, like, release. Yeah. Maybe the last time I was Scottish. And then when she ended up, I mean, the stupid safety net when she flew through the TARDIS, like, it was like, of course you'd have a safety net like vertically there, wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, of course you would. And then she's like, "Oh, what a relief!" And then they come off. I thought that was actually quite cleverly written.
Well, you see, going back to what you said about the TARDIS energy when it was hitting the Flux, I think the reason why that scene resonated with a lot of people was because Jodie Whittaker's Doctor genuinely looked like she was up against it, and she acted it well. That's the thing. I think that's why that scene works, because she acted it well. She did actually. I have to say, this is the first time a Doctor has not annoyed me that much, but she still is, and I'm gonna say, because I said it at the start, they still, Yaz and the Doctor are still the weakest part of this episode, though. But there were moments in it where I genuinely was like, holy shit, she really has to get her act together now and try sort this. And that scene where she did, oh, I've got one more thing to try, and then she bangs the hammer and the energy comes out. She sold me on that scene. I was like, wow. And then it didn't work. And you see her face, she's distraught when it doesn't work then. And then she's thinking, then she's thinking again on the go. That's what I wanted to see from her, Doctor. Yeah. Not taking out a screwdriver and
she's still waving it around like it's a gun or a magic wand. But my fear is like this threat of this flux right at the TARDIS door is going to be just brushed away like in the next episode. It's just going to be like, oh, there's some magic shit happened or some completely coincidental happy accident happens.
Do you know what my fear is? That we're gonna the flux isn't gonna appear, like we're not gonna physically see it for a couple of episodes now because it's done its big like moment of attacking her. It's done
what's going to happen is that vortex energy that she fired off into the heart of it is going to suddenly take effect and it's just going to shrink back or disappear or something.
Oh no, I don't think it disappear. My worry is that because from my reading of that last scene, it's going to transport her now. It's going to take her somewhere.
I think it's just going to. I think it's going to contract or something because I think what's happening is it's a delay. Because she's fired the vortex energy in, and then she said, "Oh, it looks like it's done nothing," which to me is a setup that it has done something. It's just delayed in its response.
It'll probably, in my opinion, we'll cut to the next episode. It'll probably be something like the TARDIS at the very last second sends them to the Crimean War, where the episode picks up.
Possibly.
And we know that the flux is moving through time and space, so perhaps when they sort out what's going on in the Crimean War towards the end of the episode, that the flux is starting to come to that time period.
Yeah, and follows them. Exactly, follows them, yeah.
It'll follow them everywhere.
It has to have a presence, though. That's my point. I don't want it now for a couple of episodes to not have a presence because it's made, like I said, I've just got this sinking feeling that it made this big old show at the end of the episode, and now Chibnall's done his big da-da moment, and then we're going to have a couple of episodes of it sort of being there but not being a threat, and then it will suddenly pop up again and then disappear again. Do you know? But I could be surprised. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't want that to happen.
I'm just hoping they didn't just blow all the budget on this first
episode. That's the bit back of my head. I was like, this is expensive shots.
Listen, look at the trailer for the second one. They didn't blow the budget on this one because the second one looks epic as well. That big battle scene, that's not.
Yeah, but that's one CGI thing. So that might be the full, the full big money shot right there, and that's it. That could be the thing. We'll see. I'm just worried that this is not going to be able to stretch out over this 6-week arc. With the same consistent level of production, but beyond that, I mean, as I say, it looks pretty.
Yeah,
I'm just worried that it's going to be this thing where it's constantly because he understood finally that the last 2 series have been pacing nightmares with people sitting around tables looking depressed all the time and talking about their feelings. That it's now going to flip over and overcorrect. That it's just going to be bish, 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 and then it's going to be look, all this stuff happening, and it's going to be like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I mean, I just worry that if they keep up this kind of pace, it's not going to have enough tension to keep building upon. You can't start this high and then keep that momentum and build and build and build on that. I worry it's gonna bottom out and it's just gonna be like, okay, well, good strong opening, however confusing and a mess that it was. It's not gonna have it's gonna have all these different threads. I understand, you've got these different ribbons and threads of time and all this kind of stuff going on, but that it's still going to be too bamboozling and too confusing a mess to tie it together in a coherent story. That it's not just going to, fragment into all these different things going on, and you're just going to be like, well, what's it all about? Why is this important? I mean, we'll see. I just worry that it's going to be too convoluted and too contrived.
Well, that's what I said. Look. At the end of the day, while we're all being mostly positive about the first episode, the thing about it is where Chibnall falls apart is always the second and third episode. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to read some of the comments here because some of the comments here are very interesting. And I want to kind of give everybody a chance to have their say. So Unknown 289 said, it could be Claire is one of the doctors that replaced 1 to 12 like Joe, who could replace 2. Then we have Claire, formerly Clara, by Garbage. Lee just put his channel in there, so go and check out Lee's channel as well. Enigmatic Joker says, the timeless child does not have to have a negative impact on this episode. The same applies to Series 13. That shadow does not have to be there as long as you put it in perspective. Okay. Let me see. Omega can fix the timeless child by being the one who was taking the children of Gallifrey to another galaxy to create regeneration. Problem solved. The bots will have hated this episode. Why didn't they kiss in the bed? Listen, that's just look. That's just a petty bloody comment there. To be quite honest with you, look, we don't need to be riling up the bots. I don't care what they thought of the episode. To be quite honest, I'm just interested in what people here on the panel and people in the chat thought about it. You can easily process the timeless child through the explanation of a manipulated and corrupt matrix, says Enigmatic Joker. That's a fair point as well. I wasn't interested in Dan talking to Claire the tick box, if I'm honest. Why is she a tick box? Because she had one arm. That's an awful comment to make, I have to say. I thought that character was actually, I liked the scenes between those two. But that's how you read it, that's fair enough. She could move to a different time when the Flux isn't there, exactly. Why would Chibnall and BBC create the timeless child and build it up for 2 series, even going out of their way to defend it just to get rid of it? They're not getting rid of it. I think people are still kind of thinking that they're not going to get rid of it. It'll probably be moved to a bubble universe or something like that. But they're not getting rid of it. Nobody's ever said that. I have no worries, just good expectations, says Enigmatic Joker. Gary B has mentioned the story Shada. Unknown 289 says, I have no expectations. I have expectations, no speculations, says Enigmatic Joker. I can't imagine how the pace can be kept up for 5 more episodes. That'll be the thing now. We'll have to see, because as I said, Chibnall always lets us down the 2nd and 3rd episode anyway. I have hope for the future, says Enigmatic Joker. Can't see this resonating with the wider public. Trial of a Time Lord failed to reverse the rot back in 1986. Can't see history repeating itself. I'd have to disagree with that. After tonight, I thought tonight was a good steady start, and it's Chris Chibnall's best work. Now, if you do compare it to RTD's era and Stephen Moffat, it's still a long way short, but we got to judge it on what he's given us so far to what he's given us now, and it's miles ahead of art he's given us before. I think it was just as boring as before. No, Graham says Unknown 289. That's fair enough. If you thought it was boring, that's your opinion. That joke about the handcuffs was pretty awful. Again,
I liked it. Sorry.
But again, I think a lot of this negativity has got to do with the last 2 seasons, so I can forgive it.
I don't blame people.
No. Jodie's delivery of that was terrible. It wasn't a bad joke. It was Jodie's delivery. I would argue.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
I'm actually looking forward to next week's. Let's see how it goes. Says Garbage. That's she was a tick box. No, she wasn't a tick box.
I like her character. I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, she actually had a character, Garbage. She actually had a character. It wasn't just.
I think again, immutable characteristics such as a disability, skin color, whatever, irrelevant. Just write well written, good characters, and I'm intrigued to know who she is and what she's about and what's happening to her, because I wasn't expecting her character to go anywhere, but I'm quite interested to see where she goes.
You would have a point if her character wasn't going anywhere, but her character is definitely going somewhere. She's not a check. See, we have to get away from that kind of crap now, right? That She's not, and I'm sorry. I will defend that character, and I will defend the actress. She wasn't a tick box. Just because she has one arm doesn't mean she's a checkbox. That's ridiculous. Peter D says, my worry is that his writing, as he's writing nearly everything, if he is on the wrong track, it could go horribly wrong. Well, we'll have to see. As I said, it's always the second episode where we judge kind of Chibnall, because that's where it normally falls apart. But again, I have to be honest, like most people, I am optimistic about the second episode now after watching that one. Again, I will watch the first episode again, and I haven't done that with a Chris Chibnall story, Doctor Who. And this will be, actually, no, I did it for the festive special because I thought that was decent. This will just be the second time that I've gone back to watch the episode again. So that says a lot to me. Ballstreck says, stopping by for another sec, being heard mixed things, and I must admit I'm intrigued. I'll be honest in my review. Yeah, look, that's all I'd say to people. You know, look, we all have our problems with Chris Chibnall. We do, right? And the fans have been treated like shit, right? But you've got to give this an honest review. You've got to judge it on what you see on the screen. And fair enough, if you still think this isn't up to standard, that's fine. I don't think it's still up to standard, but I'm judging it on what he's given us, and this is the best thing. And I have to say, you know, I can't wait for next week's episode. The Sontaran entrance was actually very good. And I love the banter between the two Sontarans, especially said, you look old, right? And he said, you look awful. I thought that scene was funny. But, you know, they were serious at the same time. They weren't like goofy the way they were in RTD's era, you know? And then, obviously, under Moffat, they became even worse. They were serious Sontarans. I love the costume. One little nitpick that I have is the head kind of looks a bit off.
I think they're a bit too elongated. You know, you have to imagine, because they've got those big, sort of thick metal collars. Yeah. I mean, you think, well, their neck, but you know, it looks a bit too long. But I think they still look fast. They still look fantastic.
They look okay, but you can see that the latex cut round for the eyes. You can see it. They haven't blended it in properly.
Yeah, and the lips. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but I mean, they're very small nitpick, but like they still look great. They still.
I was going to say as well, you'll know better once you actually see them in their episode, because they were in shadow a lot, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I think you'll get a proper look at that costume in the war episode, because they're in daylight. So you'll see then how they really move and look and how they feel. I think that's when you're going to get that, to be fair.
Happy Halloween, the greatest day of the year, all, says Bolster. Thank you. The artist formerly known.
I'm starting to get... No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because what is the reaction? Because if it's mixed, though, that's interesting. That's not a resounding positive, then, is it? If we go off what Bowles has just said. So I'm intrigued, mixed, because I think going in, the expectations are really low. So I don't know if a mixed reaction is going to make people watch this.
Well, I think you know
the people who are waiting for reviews.
Yeah.
I honestly think that people should watch this and not rely on people like myself.
I disagree. I think people should watch it if they are not completely 100% distraught by the retcon. I can understand people not wanting to watch it because of what he did. But now at the time, it's almost like closure. You need closure to kind of process and deal with what it's going to mean in the future, where this timeless child thing goes. And I suppose it's a bit like a bad tooth, isn't it? You can't stop bloody touching it, no matter how much it hurts. And I think, personally, I think if people are adamant not to watch it, I cannot and will not fault them or blame them for that whatsoever. I'm only here under duress, but also I will say that however painful this is probably likely to be, I'm here. I was impressed. I wasn't completely So
you forgive me, dear, because obviously
I don't forgive you. No, actually, no. I will never forgive you.
I should be forgiven.
I will forgive you if by episode 6 I don't want to suddenly kill myself. It's only then. Because bearing in mind, we haven't seen the elephant in the room. What happens with the timeless child? That's the thing that overshadows everything. No matter how much the first episode bamboozled you with flash bang wallop and wonderful CGI, which looked fantastic. It's the content of the story at the end of the day, and really, if that delivers the fucking shit sandwich that I'm hoping we don't get, it's all for nothing. So I mean, you can put as many CGI planets imploding all you like, but if that story continues and continues to build on this thing and turn it into something far, far, far worse, if that's even possible, then there's a problem, and it's going to leave such a terrible gut punch feeling in my stomach.
I agree. And look, as I said, we will know by next week and the third episode where this is heading, and if it can keep up the pace, I'll commend them, because this was a fast pace.
Do you know, I was watching some of the scenes with in this, and I was just imagining, like, if it was anyone else playing the Doctor, like if it was Michael Sheen or if it was someone else, and it was almost immediately better.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. So. Once you start thinking like that, it's like, actually, if this was just with like someone else playing the Doctor, I would have been enjoying it a hell of a lot. It's a silly thing to say, maybe, but for me, I had that thought in my head. It was when they were in the TARDIS. I was just thinking, imagine if that was like Michael Sheen in that role, and he had a nice costume on, and like, how different would it feel?
Like if it was Tennant or Capaldi in that situation, like what it would have been like.
And if the story was written by Russell T Davies or Stephen Moffat.
But do you know, just to add to that point, this is the scene that made me think that, and I'm happy Problem has said this, when she was trying to face up against the dog in the spaceship, when she did this planet's protected bit.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Doctor, that would have worked, that scene. The writing wasn't bad. It was Jodie. And
it's the way she pulled it off. It's the body language. It's the composure.
She was really unsure, uncertain.
She's uneven. In some scenes, I actually thought she did. But
she wasn't as annoying as the last two seasons. She's toned it down a lot. I will say that.
But in scenes like this, as Charlotte has brought up, I do think she fell flat there. To be quite honest with you, as I said, I still do believe she is the weakest link, and so is, even though Yaz got a little bit more to do, I don't see the point of her character whatsoever, to be quite honest. I mean, this could have been, you could have kept Yaz out of this story and it still would have worked without her. She just happens to be there, sort of thing. But
being the bestest ever.
This is the thing. Look, Jodie Whittaker's been consistently bad during series 11 and 12. She wasn't consistently bad in this opening episode. There were times where she was actually very good, and there were times where she was very bad. And that scene where she did say the Earth is protected, I kind of did.
She was adequate.
It was a bit cringy.
Yeah, not convinced, and she'll never convince me. That's the thing. She still hasn't had that. Oh, that's the Doctor moment.
That's the thing. You could tell that could have been a brilliant Doctor moment.
Yeah,
that could have been like, and I want to be fair, I do think maybe that's, and I said this to you before, I maybe this is just for me. I think just her presence is going to be hard for me. It's going to drag even some of the good stuff down for me personally.
Rich,
and I
says,
try not to focus on that my best.
No, that's a fair point. Listen, if anybody can analyze Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, you are a woman after all, and the fact is, this Doctor was supposed to be for all you women and the young girls out there. And if she doesn't work for you, you're right to point it out. Look, I just for me, as I said, she was more consistent in this episode, but there were still parts where she still looks out of her depth.
Well, PD Rich says the Doctor and Yaz have turned into the Chuckle Brothers. I think that's pretty.
As I said, people are gonna have,
especially in the opening scene.
It's just too tongue in the cheek. It's too cringeworthy.
It seems like I was just sort of thinking about further on in the series, and I think it would be an interesting dynamic or concept of where you build the Flux up and it's literally just wiping out everything to the point where what if we have the Master coming to the Doctor literally out of fear of what's happening, and maybe then the whole explanation of everything that we need to know about the whole division and Gallifrey and all. What if it's the case where they're both summoned to ancient Gallifrey and they find out what happens? The two of them not battling against each other, but like alongside each other.
Do we get an explanation of how the Master destroyed Gallifrey yet? I mean, in this series, I want to know, because it still, to me, irks me that he just destroyed one of the most powerful civilizations in the entire universe by himself.
But what he didn't see, we still don't know yet, and you're right to point that out.
Yeah, that needs explaining. It needs explaining.
It does, and this is the thing. He is going to look. I know he's now. People are speculating whether he's going to be in it or not. Right? It would make absolutely no sense if he didn't turn up, and Chris Chibnall would actually, that would show how fucking pathetic he is if he didn't. He has to show up. It's logical that he shows up. I
know he will. I think he will.
I don't think he did destroy Gallifrey. I actually have the feeling that he didn't destroy Gallifrey. It wasn't him.
No.
Maybe I'm starting to think that now.
Yeah, I really hope not, because
I was thinking, what if the Flux is the Matrix breaking through to reality from Gallifrey?
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe it wasn't our Gallifrey he destroyed.
No, it was an illusion. It was created by the Master to ensnare the Doctor. And what if the Matrix is creeping through and it's channeling through the Doctor? And
I like that.
I like that idea. What if it's not the Master? What if it's Swarm? Because he did get into her head.
Yeah.
Without any defenses, he just went straight into her head and literally did a projection
through the TARDIS. Through the TARDIS. Like anything get entered the TARDIS nowadays, why not?
Yeah.
The line where he killed the officer.
It's more the fact that the Doctor she was just in the TARDIS minding her own business, and then the Swarm was like, "Hiya, I'm here." Yeah. Do you know? He completely overpowered her.
But he does seem a very powerful character, and that intrigues me, because none of the Chibnall inventions have been at all menacing in any way, shape, or form at all over the last 2 seasons that I've seen, anyway. But this one does. This one genuinely seems like an actual threat. Has an intimidating look about it, even like for a gay glittery Skeletor. Or non-binary gay.
No, seriously though.
But he does. He really, like the acting. That chap who played that role is doing a brilliant. And the female version as well. I can't remember the name. Was it someone said Alpha or something? Those two do seem to be very menacing. I just really hope that they just don't, present this overpowered couple of characters, and then they sort of just kind of get either sidelined or turned into something other than something really powerful and menacing, and make them suddenly just wiped out very easily by a wave of the sonic screwdriver or something.
Well, it could be that my sort of theory, based on him knowing these division agents that were there at the start and all, is that what if he is a Time Lord that was outcast? What if it is Rassilon or Omega?
Yeah, I get a feeling he's going to be something connected to the Time Lords.
He's definitely someone connected to the Time Lords. Yeah, because he knows the Doctor, and obviously You know, the Doctor doesn't. So Jodie's Doctor doesn't. So obviously their mind has been wiped, and that.
I think he might be Omega. I have a feeling he's going to be Omega because you look at his face. He's sort of forming a face by absorbing other people, because we know from before Omega had no appearance. He was made of the antimatter had sort of wiped him out, his physical corporeal body. And I think that this is maybe his way of absorbing matter in order to create a body for him, so like growing it in a like crystalline way.
Yeah,
that he is Omega. I'm not sure of that, but it makes sense to me. It might not be true, but I think possibly he looks Omega-ish.
It could be that as the episodes goes on and he absorbs more people, that he gets a more human style appearance. He becomes more human looking. The more people he absorbs, he gets more proper physical body.
He basically, for a reference, he's like the Mummy. Do you know in that that movie with what's his name, Brendan Fraser? The more he kills people, the more human he looks. I think that's sort of a vibe I got from him.
Yeah, it's either Omega or Asylon. It's one of the two. Definitely.
One of it's Tactaeun.
One of them, I would say one of them is that maybe the female could be. I don't know. Look, it's fascinating because there is so much going on. I'll have to watch it a second time. But look, someone said this might be my least favorite episode of the current era. Awful. All of Chibnall and Jodie's flaws have been dialed up to 11. See, again, I know that's your opinion, but I have to disagree. This is his best writing that we've gotten.
He does have a point, though. Don't let the breakneck pace and CGI wallpaper. It needs a rewatch in order to pick up on these things.
Well, I disagree with that. No, there was something quite along. A lot of substance to it. I don't know. Look, people are going to have different opinions on it, and that's fair enough. But I genuinely can't wait to see next week's episode after what I've seen tonight. And I haven't felt like that since Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker took over the reins of the garden. Now, that has to be a positive, you know? And I'll grab, and listen, maybe I am being filled. I could be filled, right? But I'm going to grab on to the positivity and I'm going to hold on to it for dear life. We'll see what happens next week. And yes, it was a fast-paced episode, but it didn't fill me. I liked what I saw.
It was entertaining. I was entertained. I didn't feel bored. I didn't feel like I wanted to kill myself. I didn't feel like, oh God, I'm sitting here suffering in any way. I enjoyed it. I am intrigued. I still have the long shadow of the Timeless Child cast over me, but I'll accept it for what it is. I think that they have taken on board a lot of things. I think they have tone things down somewhat, particularly with the Doctor's character, and Yaz is actually sort of doing something, as I said. And the villain of this piece is menacing. You know, is it perfect? No. Does it feel like Doctor Who? Yes. Could it be improved if it was a different Doctor? Absolutely. But the writing, as I said, there was a lot of problems with audio that I couldn't hear what was being said. Which annoyed me, took me out of it. And there's a lot of things going on, a lot of crash bang, wallop, and all this CGI, beautiful CGI. But again, quite right to point out that is the story good? It's very convoluted. It's got a lot of plot points going on. And I'm worried that by missing and dropping the odd thread here and there, is that you're going to miss like all these plot holes in there, and that it's kind of dragging you along at the speed that it's kind of giving you a false sense of security, you know.
Yeah, what he needs to do is, right, what he really needs to do now is for this to be pulled off, he really needs now to get all of these threads that he's put in the first episode now, and over the next 5 episodes, connect them all.
Yeah.
And that's what he needs to actually do. Now, look, it's only the first episode. Yes, there's a lot going on. But let's see what happens in the next 5 weeks. I have to say, for the first time, I am genuinely excited about what we're going to see next week. And look, visually great. Jodie in some scenes was I'm not going to say great, but she was a lot better. But she still is inconsistent. Yaz, I don't know why she's there, to be quite honest with you. I know she was given a bit more to do, but I just don't see the point of her character, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, again, her character development is off screen, as was rightly pointed out.
I will agree with that.
Annoyed me.
Someone said they would have loved to see all that happen, but we don't know. We might get to see that in the next four or five episodes. We don't know yet. So
I've got a feeling that Dan's going to take up all that space that we could get for Yaz. Because
this is my concern.
For all the good things about Dan this episode, compare why he's in the TARDIS. It's a really good idea, actually, to give credit to basically have him be kidnapped by an alien, be rescued by the Doctor. That's a good sort of opening gambit for a companion as to why they travel. That's a really good one. Because we all said when it came to Yaz, Graham, and Ryan, he didn't really sell us or tell us or write well why they want to travel.
There's a reason why they've. There's a reason why they've taken Dan, and and there's also because of this other character that turned up that we don't know who she is, because she's met the Doctor before, she doesn't recognize her. I think we're going to go back in time at some point where she does meet the Doctor for the first time, and maybe somehow we'll find out where some of this development has happened. I mean, this is me casting ahead and hoping that there's actually going to be some writing involved. But I think there needs to be some kind of explanation as to what's been happening with Yaz and the Doctor in between this time and how she's suddenly all of a sudden,
I just like I said, hopefully not, but I think he's obviously going to have a plan with Dan. He's more than just a normal companion, and I like that, and I think he's going to be a good Fred. Because I was a bit nervous about John's acting, because in some of the stuff he was a bit rote. I mean, so in some of the in that 20-second thing, his delivery wasn't good, and I don't want. But actually, he was good here. So, like I said, I'm happy with Dan, but I've got a feeling he's gonna maybe take a lot of space up that Yaz.
Oh God, I don't want to see Yaz. The less she's in it, the better. Give us more Dan if that's the case, because Dan's character is interesting already. Like, we're all dying to know why this dog person, whatever you want to call it, forget what his name, weird names he came up with.
Tapidi Rich says Chibnall's trying to do a river song with Claire. Yeah, or an impossible girl kind of thing. We'll see.
Well, we don't know yet. We'll have to see. I mean,
I was just going to say, we did technically get an answer why the alien kidnapped him, but I think I get a sense there's more to it than just because he basically said his race picks a human and sort of protects them. That's my understanding anyway. And Dan was his human.
But why wouldn't you pick a couple? So if they're all wiped out, you've got a male and a female to reproduce. That would make more sense.
Yeah, but at least that they did explain that. I think it's more the fact that the girlfriend's been taken. That's what's made me think, there's something more than just what the initial explanation was we got. Because why would the crystal things? Oh, is that me again?
Wow, that's going right through my ear.
You know what, folks? I'm done with this era after tonight. I have no interest in it. I won't waste another minute on it. To you fine folks who enjoyed it, I'm happy for you.
I don't blame him. Look, a lot of people are very, very hurt by what happened. A lot of people are far more cynical. It's a lot harder for Chibnall to win people back. I remain neutral on this, because obviously the Timeless Child thing is the ultimate elephant in the room. Until that's addressed, until that is, I know you said plenty of times it's not going to be retconned. We don't know. I remain cautiously optimistic. I know that's setting myself up for a fall, but I think okay for people to have tuned out this time. People are not going to be easily won over, and that's fine. I'm not completely sold either. I'm aware I've been bamboozled by a fast-paced opener, so my critical faculties aren't as in play as normal, because a lot of it I missed as well, because I'm like, well, what's going on? And all these plot threads and bish bash bosh and audio I couldn't hear doesn't help. So is it a good story? I couldn't tell you. It's really hard to say. Carry on, sorry.
Peter Harrington says both the houses, Arctic and large houses, are TARDISes, he reckons. Lee Halford said it wouldn't surprise me if 14 shows up. 14 will not show up. I don't know why people think that Dr. 14 is going to show up in this. Dr. 14 is not going to show up. This series looks like it's going to be so bad. It's going to be hilarious as PD. Rich, I have to disagree with you on that one. But what are you looking for? Speakers. You want the speakers? What you want?
I feel like a retcon may happen, just not a retcon that most people hope for when it comes to the Timeless Child.
Yeah, I think the trouble is if you compromise too much, you're not going to please anybody.
No, exactly.
And I think you need to be able to sit down and pick one thing or the other. Is it going to be explained away in a way that's going to satisfy the majority of the fans and the general audience, or are you going to pander to the new crowd who don't care or happy because whatever idiotic reason? We'll see. But I mean, I think again, you run the risk of not pleasing anybody if you cop out of this and you don't address it and put it in its box and keep it a complete separate entity or an isolated bubble event that can be explained away and then it's done, right? That's the only way you'll ever truly stand a chance, really, of getting anyone back. And now it's too late because it's all in the can. We'll just have to sit and wait and see and hope for the best. But yeah. I can't blame people for being cynical or upset, at this point. It's very late in the day to be pulling this stuff out. You should have been doing this from Series 11.
I reckon that I still, as you were all about Sigma, about retcon, I still have this feeling it's going to turn out that the Master was the Timeless Child all along, not the Doctor. I don't think that they're not going to get rid of it. So I think the next best thing they could do is say it was the Master. I just can see them doing that because,
or hopefully this Fluxing will just rewrite history or change it or whatever. I don't know. It was an aberration in time and space or something.
But it seems like the TARDIS is bleeding.
Yeah.
I hope. Well, I would like to think that maybe because of it is the console room is breaking down, that it could be the case where you would love to see them switch. What if it's the case where like they switch it to the Ruth to the Ruth Doctor's interior or just something that sees the demise of that interior, because the more I see of it, the more it makes me sick. I would love it if somehow she was like, right, I can't operate in this control room, and she flicks the switch, like saying, bang, we're in a classic style interior.
For reset, yeah.
No, I think it's going to be a gradual
factory reset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a gradual dying, and then by like the final episode being this special final episode, it's just going to completely be gone, and there'll be nice. And we've all said this, to be fair, we've sort of had every other TARDIS has exploded. So what if this is how her TARDIS dies? It naturally sort of just rots away. Yeah. That would be a different. Like, at least that's different, to be fair. That's something that we've not seen before for an excuse to have a new TARDIS.
And then you could have it where, what if, like, the TARDIS dies? Obviously, it'll have to be function in some sort of form for the specials, but if it was a case where the TARDIS was dying or dead, what if it have it that instead of her regeneration energy destroying the TARDIS, her regeneration energy gives life to the TARDIS, and
take it to Trenzalore and watch it expand.
Yeah, and it's the Beard Rose reference as well on that Vinder's spacecraft, and the time vortex, the raw time energy coming from the console.
That is what makes me think I don't think we're actually in our universe.
Yeah, I think we're in Rose's universe.
Yeah, and that's why the TARDIS is dying, because it draws power from it's in the wrong universe essentially. So instead of having a massive explosion like in Age of Steel or whichever one it was, it's
it could
gradually
be.
being killed off.
And it's like it could be the case where like it's been in it that long now it's not drawing the same energy as what it would be from our universe, so it's starting to die. It's sort of a bit like putting petrol in a diesel car. It's not going to function. And it's starting to rot and decay, and maybe it's the case where we find out, this could be Chibnall's way of partially retconning things, where you could say, well, yeah, you did end up in a parallel universe or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is pretty good to turn out. This is where Ruth Doctor came from, that she's not actually our Doctor.
Yeah, she's the Doctor of the parallel
and that's
universe.
why they don't recognize each other. Not because of some mind wipe. It's because
it doesn't even have to be a mind wipe. It's just, complete parallel universe Doctor. Yeah, that would be fine.
Here's a comment from John Bishop. Actually wrote up something tonight before the episode dropped, and he wrote obviously the picture of the three of them that we've all seen. He says, I love this picture taken on set whilst filming Doctor Who. The fourth episode is out tonight and I can't wait to see it. I loved my time on the show and spending time with Jodie and Mandeep Gill, who are now real friends. I hope you enjoy it. I feel lucky to be part of this legacy. I have to be honest, I think he's going to be, I hope, my hopes are that he ends up being a terrific character, because I was worried about Dan. I think a lot of us were worried about Dan, how he was going to be treated and written. And I think Chibnall deserves the credit there. He really did give him a bit of a back. We see it. Obviously, he's a plasterer, but he does a lot for the food bank, and we seen him in the museum, which I thought was a really funny part. But you could tell even the fact that he's a proud Liverpoolian, and he got a chance to have a bit of dialogue in that would make show us and show that he was expressing that. So look, I'm let's hope he doesn't screw it up. That's all I'm just gonna say. Please, Chibnall, now you've started off decent. Just keep it up now and improve each week. It has to improve though. Keep improving each week and keep us interested. Let's see, can he actually?
I want to see more story. And maybe focusing on one thread at a time, so we're not going maybe keep one thread for the main episode, and then at the end of each episode you go to one of those characters doing their thing, like what's happening to Dan's girlfriend or what's happened with Claire or what, at least keep it more simply and more contained. So you've got the main episode, then you've got something each week that hints to what's happening with each character and where it's going. And then that would make sense to be fine.
Yeah, the thing that's making me think that's not going to happen, and I'm doing this based off what we saw in that trailer. We've got quite a good few actors that haven't been shown yet, so we've got more characters.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about as well. It's just going to be too convoluted.
Yeah, he needs to either drop a few characters for a bit, or because I don't want it to end up by the end that I don't want this to be Moffat again. That's what I'm basically trying to say. I don't want a load of characters that I forget, and when they get brought back, I'm like, who are you? I don't want all these threads to become a tangled mess. And he's only got 6 episodes, which could be a blessing or a curse. I think we have to remember that. This isn't a 10-episode run. This isn't an 11 or 13 episodes. It's 6.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Is the Flux thing just these 6 episodes, and each special is going to be separate from all this, or
we
is
don't
this
know?
I don't know, but I think considering this series is called Flux, I think that's the intention.
I mean, there was the suggestion that the whole Flux thing is the 6 episodes, and then I seen a few people tweeting that, that the entire wrapping up of the whole Timeless Child thing could be spread across the 3 specials. That's
Oh
one
God,
thing.
talk about prolonging the agony. Jeez. Fucking hell.
A Return to Memory says it will be one strand at a time. Next week's episode is the Santarans. Episode 4 is going to be the Weeping Angels.
But that's my point, me, Marie. Those are points we already know about. We know there's characters we've not even seen yet.
No,
yeah, but as I said, all these threads will have to come together at the end of this for this to work. And look, if he keeps it up, it could probably go that way. But we'll know by look, as I said, the second episode, third episode is where he falls apart. He started off well. Let's see, can he continue now? Episode 4 will be the telling point, says Lee Halford. That's fair enough. I think it'll be episode 3.
Time mechanics. Anyone else think that the Centaur looks like Jack Palance?
Yes. Where is it? Because I disagree with this comment, but I will read it out. Where is it? Someone said that Dan's character is written. Oh yeah, Dan is written as a simpleton. I don't know where you're getting that from. To be quite honest.
Well, it's too early yet. I mean, obviously, he is the comic relief. Yes, he's going to be the bumbling male idiot as usual. That's standard fare these days. It's not unexpected, is it? I mean, we've all come to understand this is the way things are now. I disagree with it, but I still found his character endearing. Let's see if he's gonna surprise us. I mean, we're all trying to be optimistic here. It's the only way to survive this 6 weeks, I suppose.
Yeah, but he stood up for himself. That's what I liked. That whenever he was faced with the dog or anything, he didn't cower. He stood up and he responded back. And he was, even the doctor, when he was in the TARDIS, he was questioning her. So he's not a doormat, basically, and I like that we haven't got a male doormat. We've actually got a male who's got presence, who can talk.
And he's a positive male character in the sense that he's caring. He obviously works in a food bank. He does things voluntarily. It's nice to see a character that isn't this toxic fucking caricature. So that's something. We'll have to wait and see.
Again, it's early days for John Bishop, but so far I like what Chris Chibnall has done with him. He's wrote him as a kind person, a generous person. And I was even saying when I seen these presses and his fridge empty, I was like, just take before he said the line, just take the soup. I was like, why didn't you just take the soup when that scene came on? I was and then we find out.
Anyone else familiar with the 4 strands of spaghetti, dry spaghetti in the? But that does
happen. You always find. I'm the same here. You always find bits of fucking pasta in the fucking press because you've opened the packet and the rips open, man. But look, he wasn't a bumbling idiot. He did, as you all said, stand up and to be counted in the episode. We just have to see where it goes now. Episode 2 and 3 for me will be quite telling to see if this is going to be a failure or a success. Because think about it, after 3 episodes, that's half of the season done. So we will find out quick enough. So
that's a good thing.
You know what I mean? We'll find out quick enough. So far, I have to say, as I said, this is the best thing that I think Chris Chibnall has written for the first time in a long time since he's took over. I am actually looking forward to the next episode. But there is another negative that I want to bring up, and that is the composer, right?
Yeah.
I have big problems with his music. I'm sorry, but his music in some of the Jodie scenes someone brought up drowned it out. I think it was Lee.
Yeah.
Drowned it out what the doctor was. I don't like him as a composer.
And again, why? Look, we know from the clip we saw where he's doing with the trick-or-treaters, and you had that scene, and then nothing happened. He had the sinister music playing over what was effectively a comic scene. I would have think that would have worked better if there was no music at all. Actually, at that point, it was just the dialogue, because I think that comic scene between him and the man with the eggs, for example, would have worked so much better if you didn't have this foreboding music going on and this drone in the background. It killed it. It killed it.
That's
you didn't need it. You just didn't need it. And I think there is a tendency to fill silence with something like a drone or a sound or music. You don't need it. It's not required. It would have worked so much better if there was nothing there. And then the dialogue would speak for itself. And it was a fairly reasonably amusing scene. It was just lost because of that foreboding drone in the background. And yeah, of course, we saw what happened. There was, the dog thing came through the door on the other side. But it by having that tone that you kind of expected something to happen rather than have the surprise of something happening.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is a big, big issue with filling these silences with music to manipulate people into suspecting something's about to happen. You shouldn't have that. It's much more of a surprise if you just boom, this thing just comes crashing through, and that so much better, better. Yeah, and I think again, it works for CSI or whatever. It doesn't work for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm going to say this now. I said a few weeks back, could RTD get the best out of this guy? And I said I did actually say, and as well, I'll remember this, that, yeah, I think he could. I'm going to change my mind now. I'm going to be honest, I don't think this man is good enough.
Memory says, problem being Murray Gold literally did the same. Yeah, I agree to a point, because for me, I found a lot of Murray Gold's music very overpowering as well. And I've said this all along. I love his compositions. His compositions stand out a lot more, I think, than Akinola. But again, I do agree that he did the same thing. And it is, you get this trope in a lot of TV shows and film anyway, where silence is replaced with, music to manipulate you into thinking something, like the suspense before the killer comes out, from the shadows, that kind of thing. It kind of ruins the shock. But the difference between Murray Gold and Akinola, Segun Akinola, is the fact that if Murray Gold was scoring that scene with the trick-or-treaters, it would have been more comical, like, it would have enhanced it, not sort of subverted it to the point where it felt like something bad was happening when it's meant to be a comic scene. That's the difference. But ideally, there shouldn't have been anything plain.
I think the difference is what you're trying to say is Murray understood emotion, and it worked because you had a very emotional writer in Russell, and Murray understood that. And when he wanted either you to get a hint of what the characters were feeling, or what maybe the villains, even some of the villain scores did this, you felt that emotion. And I will agree with you. I was with the trailer. I was like, oh, like we've actually got music I like for once. And this episode, I forgot it existed again through most of it.
The trailer.
Memory says that the Murray Gold gave up in series. I disagree. I think actually season 10 was some of Murray Gold's best work. The music in World Enough and Time was phenomenal. It was the best for me. I wasn't so keen on his earlier stuff. It took me a long time to get used to Murray Gold, actually. A lot of people loved him. Yeah. It took me a while. But that was the best for me.
Murray Gold was more consistent. Akinola is not consistent at all, and it all sounds the same.
The trailer music,
kind of banging on a keyboard kind of stuff, and then you have this music going all the way through a bloody scene in the background. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah. It doesn't fit.
I don't even think it was him.
Go ahead.
It wasn't even him that made the trailer music, I don't think. I noticed that he's reworked the theme tune as well, slightly. He's dialed the drums down. I had to put on the earphones and listen on iPlayer there just before I came on here, and I think he's toned the drums down a bit.
The rat-a-tat.
He's toned that down a bit. But it's, I was as I said for the past few weeks, I was expecting to go for a new theme and title sequence, but then I thought no point. It's their last series, so they're not going to spend the budget in that.
Well, they added the Flux logo, which sort of broke up, didn't it? That was the only difference.
I still don't like his music. I never have. I don't like his theme tune. I know some people.
I like his compositions. I just don't think they suit Doctor Who. I think they would suit something like CSR or some kind of police procedural, but not Doctor Who. There were some moments musically in this. I felt it did work, but in the more sort of dramatic scenes. But it kind of got lost with the visual anyway, because the visual was doing most of the talking. Again, it was that kind of jarring juxtaposition between what was happening in the dialogue with the tone and the sort of sense of foreboding that was created, where it shouldn't really be there, at least not at that point. It just didn't work, because it ruined the comedy timing of that scene, and that's important.
Right. We just because Charlotte is gonna ahead. I'll ask Charlotte now to rate this episode. So, Charlotte, what would you give the first episode of this season out of 10?
I'm going between a 4 and a 5, because, like I said, it wasn't all bad. Like, I like Dan. I like the Flux actually looks like it's going to put the Doctor in a really dangerous situation. There's, like I said, I like Dan. I like the situation with the Doctor. At first I didn't like Calvinista, but by the end I was warming up to that character, so I give credit there. But I'm sorry, just for me, this is better. But for me, it was a bit too much chucking everything at once at me.
Yeah, it was a bit too much.
There was
too many
characters. I think I understand this is a setup, but I just think for your audience, you need to streamline this better, what he was doing. Or you need to maybe just cut down a little bit on your character roster and just think, right, I'm going to have the Doctor storyline, Dan's storyline, and maybe at a push, the Swarm. If I were to try and slim it down, I'd go for those 3, because I think you could do those 3 in this episode. Everything else just felt a little bit extra, like Vinda had no purpose. Sort of Claire, yes, that was a good scene with the Weeping Angels, but I just felt like that was there to basically tell me, oh, in a couple of episodes, you're going to hear more about her. And that's a pet peeve. I don't like that in stories when I feel like I'm being told that character, she's just here to tell you she's important in the future. I don't like that. I never have. And Jodie, and Monique, they were weak, so that's knocked some points off, because I'm sorry, it's her 3rd series. I need to have a moment with this flipping Doctor. I just need something just to cling on to at this point, almost, I feel like. Like I said, I feel like they needed to explain why she was ratty with Yaz. Because I can understand.
It almost seems to be a default, doesn't it? For some reason, it's just like they always seem to be ratty with each other.
Well, here's the thing: I can understand it near the end, because you could, like Noel said, she was panicking. You could see she was sort of not knowing what was going on, and that would explain it. But at the beginning, and not telling Yaz what's going on, I just don't understand that, because, like I said, it felt a bit like a repeat. We're going through the whole Timeless Children's stupidness of you're not telling me everything again. And I don't want repeats. I want development for Yaz, even though I don't think she's a brilliant character. She deserves development at this point. The Doctor deserves flipping development. And I just feel like they're repeating, like, already we're getting repeat. And that doesn't go well for me. So I'll say 4.5. I'll go in the middle, 4.5.
Fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. And again, obviously we're all going to be at different levels about how we feel about this. So next week's episode will definitely be
just laughing at Return of the Memory's comments.
Return to the Memory. Listen, I don't want you bringing that chap's name up, because I don't want any drama. So if you can remove your comment, please, I really appreciate it. Look at someone made a comment about the J-bots earlier on. As I said, I just want to talk to people that want to talk about Doctor Who. So leave your man's name out of it, right? Because you know he's threatened me with police and all of this crap. So just remove the comment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want me to give a quick what I guess the rating's going to be? Are we doing that?
Go on. Yeah. Why
Viewing
not?
figures.
No, go on. Why not? Come on. What do you think?
I think initial.
Right.
I said this on Dan's during the week. I think 4.5 to 5 million for like initial on the night.
Right.
Because this has got some people probably are going to be quite positive about this. That could go up on the 7-day. So maybe by the time we get the 7-day, 5.5 maybe, because like I said, I know I'm not particularly loving the episode, but I know you're positive and you won't be the only one. So maybe word of mouth by the time the 7-day rating gets put in, but we'll have to see, because I've got a feeling though maybe the initial rating is going to be lower than people suspect, and then it could go up because of word of mouth. We'll see.
Right, that's a fair comment. Thank you very much, Charlotte. And listen, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.
I'm sorry about my mic. I don't know what's up with it tonight.
No, you're good. You're good.
Your mobile phone's too close to it.
Yeah. Return to memory says, so question, how does this compare to Spyfall Part 1? Well, I said at the start of the stream, I think this is the best that Chris Chibnall has written.
I didn't like Spyfall. I watched both of those, and then that's when I was out, and then he came back to The Timeless Child. I didn't watch Resolution or Revolution. No, I think I watched Resolution, much to my chagrin. I didn't watch Revolution. So I can't really compare it because I was so far out of that. But from what I did
night,
see,
everybody.
clips,
Good night, Charlotte.
Good night, Charlotte. Ma'am.
So yeah, as I said, I think this is memory. I think this is the best thing that Chris Chibnall has written. But you got to judge it at the stuff and the level that he's given us so far. It would be very hard for him to actually beat his own writing, to be quite honest. But he did have me interested. We got 70 people watching right now. Do me a favor, if you've liked what the panel had to say, please give the video a like. Obviously, if you didn't, you can give the video a dislike. Leave a comment also. Now, remember, as I said, Cheryl is in the room now, and she is watching the episode now. What's going to happen is I'm going to do a separate review, and then Cheryl's going to do hers. But she doesn't know how I feel about the episode. I don't know how she's going to feel about the episode, and I'm just going to throw a review up on my review. You can go and check out the two and see if there's any differences. Do we agree on certain points? You know, you never know. Cheryl could bleed and absolutely hate it, you know, or she could love it. We don't know yet. But if you could, do us a favor, just smash that like button and keep an eye out for all of these streams. And remember, during the week, we're going to have a TARDIS Zone Talks where obviously, we're going to let the dust settle for a while, and we're all going to think about the app. Because as Lee said, there is so much here. You kind of have to sit back now and think about what we just watched and stuff. This is just initial reaction from us all. So once we get time to digest it all, maybe as I said, I'm going to watch it a second time anyway. But the one thing that has delighted me about this is I was worried bringing Lee on because, you know, Lee is not a fan.
Not half as worried as I was.
And to be quite honest, it was quite surprising. And I'm delighted to see it, that he was quite positive about this story. Like a lot
I will always give my honest opinion
on
it.
And that's all I want from people. Look, if you don't like it, that's fair enough, right? And if I don't agree with you, that's fair enough. And you don't agree with me, that's fair enough. We're not going to fall out. But the bottom line is, I just want people to be honest and truthful when they're talking about this, because I do think it deserves a fair review and a fair shot. You know, will I go and tell people to go and watch it? Well, I'd say all I'll just say is that if you're waiting for reviewers to make up your mind for you, I'd suggest that you don't look at any reviews. If you do have an inkling to watch this, I would just say, look, take the leap and watch it. Judge it for yourself, and then go and watch the reviews. Because you watch a review, because look, we've been quite positive on this channel. Now, obviously, there has been some negatives because it's not perfect. As Lee said, it's not perfect. And I'll put my hands up and say that it's not, right? But I'm already hearing from people that there's a lot of channels that are just damn right negative about it. They're not talking anything positive about it. And I think that's unfair, to be quite honest. So what I would say to people is, if you have an inkling and you're kind of curious and you're kind of deciding whether you want to watch it or not, do not go and watch reviewers first and then make up your mind. Make up your mind yourself. Go and watch it yourself, and then you'll know whether you like it or not. And
I think if you at least watch the first episode and then listen to what other people have to say, then you can you can then balance up what the positives are and the negatives are.
Yeah.
After this, I'm gonna I'm doing another stream after this to watch Halloween, but then I'm gonna watch Rabbi. I'm gonna watch Nerd Erotic, and I'm gonna listen to what they have to say. They might have picked up on things that I missed, and it will. Yes, it will inform my opinion, but it doesn't mean it's an echo chamber. It means that they might have picked up on things that I clearly missed out on. And maybe if I rewatched it again, that I can go through that and see what their points are, or it might resonate with something that I thought that I just didn't mention or didn't pick up on or whatever. So it is important to listen to other people who have a good critical eye. And to sort of balance it up with your own sort of prejudice or your own sort of hypnosis or whatever, and it does force you to rethink things through. But I would also say you can't just take someone's opinions and just say, well, that's, if they say that, then that's it. You kind of do have to form your own opinion. And the only way you can do that really is by watching. I would say at least watch the first episode. If you're inclined to, obviously don't if you're not. Again, has to be said, the overlong shadow that casts itself long over this is The Timeless Child, and if that doesn't go, it's going to be a gut punch if this isn't retconned out, and it's that's the thing. It's like I feel almost as if by watching this and enjoying this first episode as I did to a certain extent, that I'm setting myself up for huge disappointment later on in this series, where it will just turn into a convoluted mess and the Timeless Child thing remains and is doubled down, tripled down, and all the rest. That is going to be, for me, the biggest kick in the teeth. And I understand people don't want to face that potential problem, and I can understand that. And as much as I still have that anxiety. I really do. And I just don't want to end up having to sit through all this for it to amount to a big kick in the teeth. That's the thing that I'm most consciously aware of. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Yeah. Even if they did watch it and enjoy it, they still got that in the back of their mind. And they're like, where is this going to go, though? That's the thing. Where is this going to go? Where is this all going to count for nothing? Like, all this fucking effort to make all this beautiful looking CGI thing, is the story going to end up making me feel shit about
it's
being
sort
a
of
Doctor
like
Who?
how you sort of like, as I was sort of thinking about it, like in terms of yourself, he has sort of surprised you in a way where he has set the bar at like a certain height, whereby you didn't expect him to do that, and now you're just hoping that it stays like that through the rest.
But the thing is, if you're staying at this kind of pace, it's already too fast, it's already too convoluted, it's already too confusing to a certain degree. I mean, you can wrap your head around it. It's just, by the time you sort of get one thread settled in, you're onto the next thing. That kind of bothers me, because if it does keep at that level all the way through, it's going to bamboozle you into submission as you go along, and people are going to go, oh yeah, it's great because lots of things are happening, and that's not a satisfying story. Now, it needs to settle in. I think yes, it was a good first opener and a lot of things happening, and it's quite exciting. I get that. But at the same time, where do you go from there? If it keeps that kind of pace up, you're not going to let anything sink in. If it drops too much, it's going to be a noticeable drop. And then you're going, well, the pacing's a bit slow, and that's the problem. You kind of sort of painted yourself into a corner, Chibnall, with this. And I worry that this is where it's going to lay itself bare in the next couple of episodes. As Noel said, it's the second or third episode where it falls apart. And I do worry that this is where it's going to start unraveling. Like they've sort of, boom, here they big fucking smack in the face with this big colourful shit going on. And then, then the next few episodes are going to be like sitting around talking about their feelings again or something. And I don't think it is going to be about that. But I think the pacing, if it stays at the same level, it becomes white noise. If it drops, it's going to be noticeable because it's going to be all this fast-paced stuff and then, back to being slow again. And it's a very delicate tightrope balance now after this. So I'm concerned. I am concerned.
It's like Chibnall sort of has to find the balance where he keeps the quality up, but he's able to tone the pace down to a point where you understand what's going on.
The story's got to be interesting enough and the dialogue's going to be interesting enough to keep you engaged. Yeah. So if you turn the pacing down somewhat instead of this boom, 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 then you've got to have something compelling to fill that space. And again, not making it too convoluted that you're like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So you've got a very tightrope balance to walk here. And I just hope that Chibnall took some weekend writing class to get this to a level that is not only entertaining, but actually delivers a compelling enough story with characters that aren't just put there for plot device reasons and actually have something to add to the story. We'll see.
The thing is, he has no excuse because he had that extra 6 months during the point where they were originally supposed to start filming, I think it was like midsummer 20, and they didn't get going until November. So he had that extra 4 or 5 months to go back and tweak and refine scripts.
Well, hopefully he got a ghostwriter, I don't know, RTD or someone to go. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what you got.
Right, listen, because I know Lee has to head off. So what we'll do is we'll leave it there. And what we'll do is we'll go around the panel now. We'll get you our rating for this episode, obviously out of 10. And if you want to do what Charlotte did and give a rough guess of what you think the overnights might be, you can do that as well. So we will start with you first, Lee, because you are off to do Halloween. Who are you doing that with, Ballstrek, is it?
No, going to watch Halloween 3 with Jack. We're going to...
one with the
Season of the Witch, love it.
Yeah. That as a standalone, I agree with Ballstrek. He put up something there. As a standalone, it's great, but part of the franchise, it doesn't fit. But there you go. But that's just.
Well, I mean, where do you go after Halloween 2? I mean, he gets blown up and.
Well, yeah,
stabbed in the eye.
Well, that's why it was back in 4. Michael Myers returns because obviously they messed it big time. But listen, let's get into the reigns because I don't really want to get in talk about bleeding Halloween. Jesus Christ. We've already had a Halloween. Right, let's do this. So, Lee, go for it, mate. Out of 10.
It's really tough because I'm again trying to work out what the actual plot is. I'm fallen in love with the Swarm character. I think finally Chibnall's written an actually interesting and intimidating villain who actually has some menace to him. So I'm compelled by that to continue watching. He does interest me. There's some great moments in that. Again, it's convoluted and a mess, and I missed a lot of dialogue because the music and the sound recording was too quiet. So take note, technical people. What do I give it? It's really difficult. I think just on the spectacle of it, actually, rather than more the story, although you have to wait and see where it goes, I will give it, I'll give it a 7.
Wow. I'm actually surprised at that. That's probably your highest score in a long time.
I'll say, quite honestly, every Chibnall story so far has been a minus from me.
Yeah.
So this is the first one that
positive.
He's in the plus, and it's a good. I'll say it's a good opener. I just worry that it's just a gimmick, that it's going to be followed up with absolute dross.
I agree to a certain extent. That's why I'm saying episode 2 and 3 is where we'll know. And let's. Oh man, he better not mess it up. He better not. But look, thank you for that, Lee. Do the overnights, Lee? Do you want to just briefly? What do you think there?
Overnights, I would hazard a guess at 4.5 to 5 million.
Okay.
And I think the long term, possibly up to 7. But can it keep up? I doubt it.
That's the thing. I think
hype is there.
Yeah.
I think considering the marketing has been abysmal, I think they did manage to ramp it up. And I think the word of mouth, because there is conflict between a lot of people saying how good it was to how bad it was, and in between. So I think there's a change in the dynamic of how it's perceived at the moment. This is a good opener. Is it the best? No, certainly not in terms of Doctor. It did feel like Doctor Who. It just without the Doctor in it. But I think it will be well received enough to boost the ratings. I still imagine it will drop off if the story doesn't keep up with the. I mean, you got the pacing now, which is going to be, as I said, the swing between whether or not it will appear to be dragging, or if they can keep the mystery up. And I think Swarm is a compelling enough character to make me want to know who he is and what he's about. So that's something. I think that works in a very great actor, great casting choice. The visuals are fantastic. The music not so fantastic. The acting improved from the main cast. Toned down a lot. Yaz is less annoying than usual, even though she's the best at everything all of a sudden, of course. So Dan's all right. We'll see what happens with that. Fair play, Chibnall.
Well, I'm glad.
Don't fuck it up.
I'm glad I didn't give you nightmares. So that's good. I'm glad that I was able to convince you to come on, because I'm actually quite surprised. And I am.
I'm surprised.
I think it surprised yourself, yeah. But look, all I'll just say is everybody on the panel, whether I agree or disagree with you, thanks for being honest. That's all I can say to you. You are honest in your own convictions, and that always has to be commended. So it has been a mixed bag on this channel, I have to say. But I'd say mostly positive. But we have to see. So he's set up now. Let's see now. Can he deliver now? Episode.
I have my big suspicions it's all going to fall apart. But we'll see.
The past has taught us that. That's why, even though I do think this is the best thing he's written, I'm still.
It's the best thing he's written. It's the best. It's the best Doctor Who, apart from the opening scene, which was god awful. But the special effects were very, very good, very high standard. And it looks great. It looks great. I love the colouring, the tone that they've used as well. It's very sharp. So visually, it's the best it's ever looked. I just worry that that's going to kind of be used as a bit of a. Someone in the chat used it earlier, smoke and mirror. To bamboozle you with, oh, look at this shiny stuff, which is all very pretty, but is the story going to be there? It's too early to say. It is a bit, as I said, convoluted and a bit confusing because it's all happening so quickly. So you haven't really had time to process what's going on, and we'll see. I just want to see more character development because that's been lacking for the last 2 series. Is it too late? Yeah, it is. But he should have been doing this from the beginning. This is the kind of level I would expect, at least, But again, it all roads lead to the Timeless Child. That's how it deals with that is the key here, ultimately. So we'll have to wait and see. But with that being said, well done, Chibnall. Never thought I'd ever say that in my life ever, but there you go.
And now you can feck off and do your bleeding Halloween.
I am going to feck off. Yes, quite.
Right. And thanks for coming on. So hold on, before you do go, I forgot to ask now that the first episode didn't totally shatter you and destroy your soul, are you coming back now for the second episode? Are you going to join?
No. Yes, of course not. Yes.
Or are you done?
No, I'll be back because
that's good to hear.
The reason really is Swarm is an interesting character. I want to know who he is. I'm more interested in that character than I am the entire fucking timeless child bollocks.
I know, and it is. I actually have.
I just hope they figure out a way to, I don't want to see a compromise. I want to see a definitive solution to all this that will make me feel better. And if it doesn't do that, I'm gonna absolutely trash this series for the lie and the honey trap that it is. It feels to me it might be a honey trap. We'll see.
That's it. Well, you go on off now and trot along and enjoy your Halloween tree.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Have a good one. Right, guys, we'll obviously do the same with Jules, and we'll get you our scores now. So we'll start with Real Super Doctor. So first your rating, and then if you give us what you think, a guess at what you think the overnights actually might be as well. So
I would give it a 3 out of 10. I mean, that's the best I'm going to give it because it's not a perfect story. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the opening of it. I thought it was just too cheesy, and I didn't like the dog man. I thought it was kind of too cheesy. The accent's too cheesy. Some of the special effects at the beginning, green screen effects, model shot effects, and the was it the 1800s? That when it panned right in, you could see it was just like a plastic kind of model shot. It looked absolutely cheap. The characters, Dan was okay. I like Dan. But Yasmin Khan started to be kind of a bit smart in that, and she kind of understood how to control the TARDIS. I think that kind of irritated me a bit. I liked the Swarm a wee bit. I liked the fact that there was a telepathic messages were coming through the Doctor. Some glimmers of hope for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, but not very many. She still fails in many ways. She's not as convincing. She'll never be convincing as the Doctor to me, no matter how hard she tries. It's bad character development as well, and with Yaz and. I just don't know with this if it's going to continue better than what I agree that it is Chibnall's done a bit better than what he's previously done, but I think he was probably dragged aside and told to do a wee bit kind of better with it, and that's him wrapping up until he leaves.
Overnights, what do you reckon the overnights?
The overnight, I would give 4.88 million.
Not bad though. Not bad in fairness though. A lot of people are kind of rating it because remember before this even dropped, people were thinking it'd go down by probably 3.8, 3.6 million. Everybody was predicting, but now everybody's kind of changed or reevaluated, I should say, what they think.
You see, I think as it was predicted, that's for the opening, but it'll be a steady decline towards the end. But I think that I think it'll be anticipated for the specials, Jodie Whittaker's last episode, because they'll be wanting to see the regeneration. But as Russell T Davies has said that. The 14th Doctor hasn't been chosen yet, so we'll not see the changeover from the 13th Doctor into the 14th Doctor. We might just see the beginning of the regeneration, and that's it, and it cuts away. So I'm quite disappointed in that. Because I was quite, it's like the dramaticness. We always get the dramaticness of the Doctor regenerating and blowing up the TARDIS and that towards the end, and we can't wait to the start of the next season.
So that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Look,
disappointed.
as I said, as you said yourself, you take this very seriously and you're super critical. So I understand where you're coming from. But let's get Marty's opinion. Marty, what do you think? What would you give it out of 10, and what do you think the overnights will be, pal?
Well, it was a decent story. The Caravanista thing, dog, bear, whatever the hell you want to call it. The voice put me off a bit. John Bishop was decent. He was a hell of a lot better than what I was expecting. Chibnall has set the bar high. Probably the best opener he has done. Not the best opener in New Who, certainly not, but definitely is the best opener he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Jodie Whittaker, that's to say, hoping now that that was the last we sort of see of the goofiness of her, and judging by the next time trailer, it may well be. I don't know. But yeah, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. Overnights.
I reckon I'm sort of same as Real Super Doctor. I think we're hitting 4.8, maybe 5, around 5.1, 5.2 if they're lucky.
Yeah.
But 7-day rating, probably just maybe shy of 6 million.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm liking the positivity though, I have to say. And I know there are some problems with the story. I'm not going to lie, there is, but I do like the positivity. I'm glad some people enjoyed certain elements of it, and obviously we're not going to always agree, but I have to say I'm looking forward to next week's episode. We'll see what happens. But Sigmund, would you like to finish us off by telling us your rating and what you think the overnights? Remember, you can getting a rating off me or overnights off me either, because I'll be doing my own separate review tomorrow. So Sigmund is the last person to give their rating on the channel. So Sigmund, go ahead.
Well, mine will be subject to change because I'm taking the whole series into account once all these plot threads have been resolved. But I really enjoyed this opener overall. Like Marty said, this is the best opener Chibnall has ever done. It set up a lot of potentially interesting plot points. Swarm is already looking to be like one of the best villains in possibly Who history. I really like Dan. So all things considered, I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10 based on how much I enjoyed this episode overall. But as I said, that will change within the context of the whole series. For better or worse.
What do you think the overnights?
I think overnights will be between 4.5 and 5 million. And I think the final ratings will probably be between 5.5 and 6.
Still, I have to be honest with you, listening to you all now, I think we were all doom and gloom, obviously, before we got to see anything. And a lot of people were thinking that this would nosedive completely. I don't think it will. We'll see. Super Doctor has a point, though. When we get to the second episode now, if the second episode is better than what we got this week, well, then there could be a chance of the ratings go back up. But if it's bad, like he always has been bad, Chibnall, with his second and third episode, if it ends up being as bad as previous seasons, then yes, I can see a decline. But let's see what happens. I'm not going to make any predictions now. But look, I have to be honest with you guys. Fair play just for being honest and giving these our opinions. I really do appreciate it, and thank you everybody in the chat as well that has contributed and given their opinions. I mightn't agree with you all with certain aspects of it, but that's what fandom is all about. You know, we all have different tastes. We all obviously all have different opinions, and that's the fun thing about being in a fandom, because you're allowed those opinions. We're not going to fall out, you know. I mean, like as I said, we know what the other side are like. You can't say anything negative at all, and they're attacking you. But at least on this, you know, this stream here, you know, even if you are and you don't like some elements of the episode, you're free to express those opinions, and there'll be no pushback, because at the end of the day, that's how you guys all feel, you know. So yeah, look, we'll wrap it up there. I have to say, I'm looking forward to next week. We'll see what happens. To me, it was a set-up episode. Yes, I do agree with certain people on the panel. It was, you know, probably was too many characters to introduce into one episode. We could have done probably with an extra 15, 20 minutes maybe added onto the episode. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. But for the first time in 5 years, I'm actually looking forward to a Chibnall story for next week. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. Look, as I said, episode 2 and 3 is where he always falls apart. Let's see what he does next week. Fingers crossed he can actually continue and give us a bit more story as well, as some people have pointed out on the panel. And let's see where it goes. But the Sontarans next week, there are good things in this. The Sontarans are great looking, I have to be honest. And there's other stuff. But look, you will get my full opinion when I do my review. And as I said, Cheryl is watching the episode now, and she'll be doing her review on this channel as well. So there'll be 2 separate reviews, one from me and one from the wife. And then you can go and watch and see who you agree with. It's going to be very interesting to see what Cheryl thinks, actually, because we haven't discussed it. That was the deal. And I'm not going to spoil it for her either. So let her make up her own mind and watch. So it'll be interesting to see if she's with me and she actually thinks this is the best thing that Chris Chibnall wrote. Or she could be like Real Super Doctor and think this is, you know, all over the place, and it's, you know, maybe smoke and mirrors, as some have probably suggested. We'll see. But that's the fun thing about fandom. We can all have different opinions, you know, and that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
we all agreed we'd all it'd be boring, you know. So we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. I next week now can't come quick enough, I have to say. Let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing the Sontarans anyway, because we got a little clip of them in this episode, and I loved the dialogue between the 2 Sontarans. It was funny, but we'll leave it there. If one of my moderators could put in all the channels, obviously all my guests that were on, if you put the channels in the chat there.
Just 5 more episodes, Chibnall. Don't F it up.
Yeah,
go out on a high. You know, I would love for you to prove us all wrong by the 6th episode.
You know what? I agree with you. I want to be able to sit here after the 6 episodes, and after that's the finale of the series, before we get into the specials, and say, well done, Chibnall. That's all I want to do. I've never wanted, people think that I just want to be negative all the time. That was never the case. Series 11 was bad, don't care what anybody says. Series 12 was bad, don't care what anybody says. But so far, the start of this series has started off decent. Now let's see, can he continue it? Episode 2 and 3 is where he always falls off. So we'll wait next week and we'll see if he can keep it up. I really hope he does. Fingers crossed. Come on, for the sake of the show, let's hope he can keep this up and improve each week. That's all I want. I just want to see an improvement. Just get this era over, but at least have it decent enough. You know what I mean? That'll keep us interested until we move on to the RTD era. Because remember, the countdown has officially begun for RTD. Because you know, so be happy. You know what I mean? There's lots of things to be positive about. And you know, I can't believe I'm saying this. Chris Chibnall gave us something to be positive about. Let's hope he can keep it up. Let's hope. Look, I know people have their problems with it. right? But even Real Super Doctor there, yeah, you might have problems with it, but he still likes some things about it. So there's something there to hold on to. Let's just hope he can keep it going and improve each week. For me, this was a setup episode. Look, he'll get me full review. I'm not going to say anymore. We'll leave it there. But look, I want to thank all my guests. I want to thank Charlotte. I want to thank Real Super Doctor, Marty, Sigma, also Lee, and apparently Ballstreck is going to be joining us next week for next week's episode. So we'll have Ballstreck on with us on the panel as well next week. So I look forward to that. Obviously, Gary and Az is on their channel there. If you want to go and listen to them, go ahead. I've been told they're slating the episode, so if you want to see a different opinion, but that's what it's all about. Different channels are going to react in different ways. You know, I don't have a problem with whatever Gary has said about or whatever Az has said about. That's their opinion. You know what I mean? This is what that's what I said. This is the great thing about this fandom. There'll be some YouTube channels that did like this, and there'll be some that didn't. You know what I mean? It's a mixed bag, I have to say. Because remember, over the last 2 seasons, we've all agreed all the way through that this has been bad, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time that it's a mixed bag with YouTubers. So to me, that's a bit of a positive, to be quite honest with you. But look, we'll see. I have to say, I can't wait for next week. Santarans, here we come. And that Weeping Angel scene was good.
I have to admit that Weeping Angel scene took me back.
Yeah, very nostalgic.
Yep.
I'll talk to you in a minute, Cheryl. Yeah. Yeah. I will indeed, love. Are you watching? Are you watching Doctor Who? Oh, you're watching Scream? I thought you were watching Doctor Who.
She's doing the right thing, trying to avoid it.
She's doing a fucking Scream marathon. I think she's going to watch the whole lot of them, man. She loves Scream.
Oh, well.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Scream franchise myself. But I heard they're doing another one. And I saw the trailer for it. And it's like, there's a scene in it that's a carbon copy of the Drew Barrymore scene where she's on the phone and she gets stabbed. And it was like, well, they got a woman doing the exact same thing. So what is this? Is this for Scream? Is it being remade or is it tying up or so? I don't know.
I think it's a commentary on remakes.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, but look, yeah.
No, I watch it because the screaming and all that stuff is helping to drown out some of the sound.
Oh, and Ted, calm Ted down.
Because
I know. I've heard him. He's been fucking. Come here, Ted. Come here, buddy. Oh, do you want to say hello to everybody?
He's
Look,
so scared.
there he is. Look at him.
Oh.
Say
Hey,
hello.
Teddy.
Say hello to him, guys.
Mama's here.
There. He's shaking. Are you all right, buddy?
Oh.
All right, I'll put you down. There you go, buddy. There you go. His ears and all that back. That's how I know he's fucking terrified. Tell you, right? One thing I will say, look, I'm not one of these people that like come down heavy on people with fireworks and all of this. But the thing about it is they're legal in this country, right?
Yeah.
Your pets, especially dogs, right? We hear stories about fireworks, especially 4th of July in America and all of that. It's disgraceful. They should be, look, for me personally, I think they should be made illegal. They are in this country, that's the weird thing. But I mean, there should be some sort of fine because Ted has been out of sorts for the last few weeks and
last few months, they started in August.
August here this year, yeah. And I mean, he's turned a little bit violent as well because of it. Won't get into details, but he's gotten a little bit, you know, because
he bites out of fear.
he bites out of fear. That's what it is. Because I've had my leg nipped this week. And Cheryl's had her hand nipped when we've been trying to, obviously, I say nipped. That's putting it lightly. But the poor dog. Oh, it looks a lot better now than it did
but it's
yesterday.
still twice the size of my other hand.
No, yeah. So last night we were in bed watching some.
No, this morning.
This morning.
7 a.m.
Yes, we start because I woke up. Right, I actually went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. Right. The earliest that I've ever went to bed, right? and I fell asleep, and I think I woke up at, what did I wake up at? Around 6 o'clock. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I said to her, "Come on, we watch a few scary videos as we always do." She's blaming me for being bitten, but fair enough. Because I woke her, apparently I woke her up. But see, when I woke up, she was already on a mobile phone. But she's doing that because I always somehow blame her on stuff, and it's not even her fault. It's always Cheryl's fault. So she loved the fact that she could blame me, but he sits up on the bed with us, but whatever which way he was moving, he and he cut his leg, the leg obviously that the wonky one that you all know, and he literally fucking went onto Cheryl's hand, and
my God.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is because I am trained to deal with bites from students, I know you're supposed to shove your hand further back so that it forces their jaw open. And so as soon as his jaw unclenched, he just latched onto a different part.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but see,
well, you can show them if you want to. There you go. So this is obviously that's the injured hand there.
Did the teeth go right through?
There.
My God.
And he took a nip.
It's the first time I've ever screamed.
Yeah, and by the way, he took a nip at my leg. I've got a big bleeding yolk on my leg as well. He had a go at me as well a few days back. But it's got to do with the fire. But it's got to do with these fires because he's not like that. He's not like that. He's not a violent dog. You have to understand that.
Fear or pain.
That's it. He's not like that. He is a brilliant dog. On a regular basis. He's our baby. Like, but no, I blame those fuckers out there, man.
Jeez.
But he's hopefully now that's the end of the fireworks. I doubt it, but he's settled now. But he's been out of sorts since August. So you know, we've gotten.
It seems to be, knock on wood, starting to.
Well, all the kids
starting to taper off right about now. They're coming fewer and farther.
Well, you see, the thing about it is now most of the kids will be in bed, right? And now, no, the parents will be in the pub. None of those kids. No, they're off for Halloween. They get off for a week.
They were off all last week.
Already, well then they go back on Monday, but the parents will still be in the pub. Yeah, but the parents go to the pub. That's why the fireworks stop, because the parents want to get their kids to bed, so they can have a few babies.
You know what? If my kid was doing that, I'd freaking march into the garbage station myself and be like, "You need to lock this fucker up. He's a twat."
Look, if they're legal in a country, that's fine, fair enough. But they're illegal in the Republic of Ireland. What happens is, if they go up the north.
Shoot them off. Here's the time frame. You can shoot them off between 7 and 9 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
Freaking, you don't start shooting fireworks off at 7 in the morning.
No, Teddy seems so violent that he might drown a person in doggy kisses. No, listen.
He is actually just the sweetest baby.
He is. This is why I do be really upset and pissed off. Is because I know this dog. I've had this dog a long, long time. I know his personality. He doesn't have a bad bone in his body. He doesn't. He's a very lovable dog, and he does plenty of fucking licks on the face. He does go on top of you, and he does this rolly motion because he loves you. But when things like that happen, that's when he starts getting. Because look at. Most of you might know Ted's past. We have discussed it a little bit on the channel, but basically Ted was a rescue dog, and Cheryl then read up something about
his tail
dogs.
Was docked.
Yeah, so his tail was docked, and his ears may have been. They did something to his ears, basically. He was. It sounds like he was. See, I don't know the details because it was.
I'm sure he came from an illegal breeder.
Yeah.
And then the people that had him did awful things.
They abused him, yeah.
He wasn't potty trained properly because they would just randomly let him do whatever. And I think he was constantly hiding for his life, which is why he wraps himself up in blankets to become invisible. He's had a shit life, and I'm not going to hold it against him that 7 in the morning when a giant firework scares the crap out of everyone, my hand happens to be next to him, and he just reacts.
Yeah.
So, and if anyone says to me, you should put him down or something like that, I
It won't happen.
have to hurt you.
It never happened because he's not a violent dog, and I can categorically say that he's not. He only reacts to situations, like us all do as human beings, you know. So, like, yeah. So most dogs generally don't like loud noises, and if he was a rescue dog, even more so. We all love Teddy.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like full on, for the U.S. people that understand, full on 4th of July presentation fireworks going on all day, and they're happening, I think, right in
We had it from three sides.
And Phoenix, they're all around the entire.
I was watching. There was some over at the Phoenix Park. There was some right in front of the football pitch, and then it was like they were coming from three sides, 3 firework displays at the same fucking time, like, and they've been going since fucking all day, like. Now all the kids are gone to bed, so thanks be to God. Anyway, gonna leave it there. But look, I want to thank you all for joining me. You've all been brilliant. And again, I wanna thank all the panelists as well. And I have to say, I was surprised. I'm not going to give out away because Cheryl hasn't watched it, but I can't wait for next week. And I hope to see you all here. Marty, just to know, you joining us next week as well. Now you here for the 6 weeks, buddy?
Subject to work, I'll be here. Hopefully,
right? Yeah, because I know you work. Yeah, just let me know even before the day if you can. If you can,
no
that would be absolutely fantastic. But I'll see the rest of you guys next week anyway as well.
Yep.
Real super doctor. I feel sorry for you. I really do.
It's just one of these things. It's not going to appeal to everybody, I suppose.
I know, but still, while it did appeal to me and some others, I'm kind of gutted for you that it didn't do it. But you never know. Maybe episode 2 might do it for you. I hope it does. Fingers crossed. That's what I say. I want to thank all my moderators as well. For keeping the chat safe for everybody as well. And as I said, everybody in the chat that has contributed, thank you very much.
Also, can we do a special, everyone send happy thoughts to Melina. Puerto Rico is going through some stuff right now.
Oh, yeah, I've seen our text earlier on.
Yeah, so let's keep her in our thoughts.
Yeah, so a big shout out to Melina. Obviously, there's stuff going on in Puerto Rico right now, and she's having a real tough time with it right now. It's scary. So we send our love to you, Melina. And don't forget, we will be coming back with Rick and Morty. I've decided to keep the Rick and Morty going because we have such fun with that. So we will be back with Rick and Morty as well. I'll let you know when. I just haven't decided yet. Oh, Cheryl's sitting there eating. Did you get Rice Krispies? I didn't fucking see them. I thought the Cheerios, but I didn't fucking see them. All right, well, I'm blind. I'm gonna have a bowl of Rice Krispies. I know it's nearly 11 o'clock, but I don't give a shit. Right, Rice Krispies at night time, lovely.
I think I'm gonna go have a beer and rewatch this episode.
That's it. I'm gonna rewatch the episode now. I'm gonna go off here. I'm going to sit back down and watch it again. Well, obviously when Cheryl leaves the room because she doesn't want to watch it yet. And remember, as I said, I'm going to have my review. Cheryl's going to do a review as well of the episode. It'll be interesting to see me and Cheryl, because we're not discussing it around each other. Be very interesting to see if we actually agree on certain points. Do we disagree completely? Does she like it? You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So stick with us, as I said, for these next 6 weeks, guys. And don't forget, for all you guys that haven't had the opportunity to come on the panel, we will have a Tarda Zone Talks during the week where we'll bring people on to discuss what they thought about the episode. So if you've wanted to say something about the episode, but you haven't been on here, you can come on the Tarda Zone Talks. I'll bring you on. Tell me what you felt about the episode and stuff like that. So I'll leave it there. I'll say good night to you. I'll say good night, panel.
Good night.
Night.
And, as I said, I think the moderators threw all these channels in the chat anyway there, guys. So we will see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
By the way, the best thing about it was Michael Jackson was trending. Just want to say that. The King of Pop was trending today.
say goodbye.
Yeah, I'm gonna say goodbye. The King of Pop was trending today. She's not gonna stop me from saying that. Michael Jackson was trending today. The legend. Thriller. What can I say? We'll leave it there. Bye. I better go. She's gonna hit me with her front hand. Bye.